Good morning.
Morning, everybody.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floormeister Studios. Floormeisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Top of the morning to you on this St. Patrick's Day. Hope you get a chance to celebrate in some small way. And thanks for being with us. How the heck are you, Miller and Moulton? MillerandMoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. The madness officially gets underway tonight with a historic broadcast. Barkley and Dick Vitale joining forces on the late game. Texas and NC State. If anybody cares about that sort of thing. Dickie V hasn't done a tournament game in 35 years, at least not in the States. So, top of the morning to you, Mark. How are you?
I'm doing all right, David. How about yourself this morning?
Doing okay. St. Patrick's Day, it's, used to be a thing with me. I used to literally take it off when I moved out of the Northeast and when I went to Fargo and in my early days in Florida, I used to take it off. It's a big day with me. I'm Irish. I like to celebrate it. There was a time in my life when I was pretty social, and it saddened me that the further I went along in life, St. Patrick's Day was less of a thing in the cities that I lived in. Saddened.
Now, I remember, I don't think you and I were both doing mornings, actually. I think it's when I was doing mornings, you were doing afternoons, and I would finish my show, and you and I would go have a beer early. Like, I remember being there's a bar in Bonita Springs that has a big St. Patrick's Day thing.
Yep.
And I remember being there before they opened because I was doing until 9, I believe. And we were there at like 9:10, and they opened at 10, and they served us beers before they opened.
Yep.
My question to you, however, is when you were in Fargo, because look, taking a day off to drink in Florida, there's not a boss around that wouldn't go, oh, okay, sounds like a good deal. What day is it? St. Patrick's Day? Sure. What day is it? Tuesday? I don't give a damn. So I don't see Southwest Floridians looking at you funny for taking a day off to celebrate, whatever that day is, because they don't care in Southwest Florida. They don't care really throughout the state of Florida what day you take off to drink. Jacksonville, Tampa, Lake City, Venice, Southwest Florida. I don't think they give a damn. But Fargo, when you first said, I need St. Patrick's Day off to celebrate, did they look at you a little funny in Fargo?
Like I was an alien. Honestly, people thought I was nuts. And I started early and I started bar hopping, and I was like the only person in every place that was fired up. I mean, you were
Did that
lucky if
bother
you
you, or did you try to get everybody on board? Because you said,
both.
and I do remember you being somewhat social. I mean, just about the same time we were going to be somewhat successful,
Right.
you were somewhat social.
I was.
So you were obviously more social in Fargo.
Uh-huh.
Were you trying to be the life of the party to get people to jump on your St. Patrick's Day bandwagon, or did
Yes.
you say, screw all of you, I'm
No.
drinking?
No. I wanted, come on, let's party. Come on, it's St. Patrick's Day. What are we doing? Come on, let's party. Yeah. Anybody got any corned beef here? What? No? What do you mean no? Come to think of it, there's no St. Patrick's Day decorations in this place. Hell, 90% of you aren't even wearing green. What the hell's going on?
Because I don't recall St. Patrick's Day being a thing when I was in college. I don't recall when I was in Atlanta or Nashville or Raleigh it being that big of a deal. Now, I know Savannah, Georgia is one of the premier places. And, you know, we do this thing. Today was a day when at the end of the show, and I don't think all of you are around for it. But believe it or not, the first St. Patrick's Day celebration, David, was not in Boston, was not in New York City. It was in St. Augustine, Florida.
There you go.
So to much of my surprise, when I saw that, I'm like, well, that makes sense. Anytime there's a reason to drink, Floridians are at the front of the line.
I grew up in the Northeast. It was a thing. It was a big thing. Parades. This is how I judge it. Does the place I'm living have a parade? Is there a parade to be found somewhere, anywhere?
Was there one in Jacksonville over the weekend? There was one in Tampa over the weekend. There was one in Southwest Florida over the weekend. Was there one in your hometown of Jax Vegas?
I don't believe so, because you had the players and you had the beginning of spring break. No, I don't remember seeing or hearing anything about a St. Patrick's Day celebration. If I'm wrong and somebody would like to correct us or correct me in the chat room or on the text line 21,000, please do. I was completely unaware of any sort of celebration. There was none in Fargo when I moved there. None.
So
None.
I've already got a poll question, a St. Patrick's Day poll question ready to fire off. I do not know if these answers will suffice you, Mr. St. Patrick. And I think I'm going to call you St. Patrick for the rest of the show today. I've just decided that. I think that's fair. But how will you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Beers, corned beef and cabbage, won't celebrate. Am I missing anything? You know, I mean, should go to a parade be on the list? Although the parades in Tampa and Naples were over the weekend. And I think a lot of them were over the weekend because it's a Tuesday. So,
and I get that. I get that many a community did it over the weekend because it was convenient. I get that. I'm fine with that, by the way. I'm not such a snob that I'm like, well, you have to have it on the 17th. No. If it works for you to have it on the Saturday the 14th, go for it. But it was the first time, Mark, because you know how I was when I moved to Fort Myers, that I was very, nervous traveling south to Collier County in Naples. I didn't feel worthy. I'd get nervous. I'd literally get the shakes. Like, oh, I don't know if I'm supposed to be here. But the first time that I remember, like, besides having to cover, a high school football game or something like that, but, I was in town like 5 months, and Naples had a St. Patrick's Day parade. I was like, I'm going to Naples. It's the only time I was ever in Collier County where I didn't feel, nervous. I felt very comfortable celebrating St. Patrick's Day in Naples. The other 364 days, I felt like I was going to get stopped at the county line and told to go back. So
So I think I'm not even going to put up won't celebrate. I'm just going to assume you're celebrating in some way because I did see a great answer in the chat room right off the bat. JS very simply put whiskey. You know what? I did add Irish to that. So beer, corned beef and cabbage, Irish whiskey. I'm just wearing green. You know, for many people, like my daughter has she has a uniform at school today. No uniforms. You can dress out in green today.
Oh, really?
Yep.
All right. Way to go. All right. I applaud the principal. Well done. Well done.
Well, me and David, we applaud this principal for a while now. Once we found out he gave the students the day after the Super Bowl off, so he could have the day after the Super Bowl off. That's our kind of place right there.
No doubt about it.
Right there. That's a place where if you're running a $10 a square board in 8th grade, you're not getting in trouble.
No. And that's the type of place in which you turn and you go, yeah, tuition's going up. Okay. But the principal stays the same. So we're paying it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Yeah. So
we have a St. Patrick's Day question up already to start the show, David. I'm trying to appease to you, and I see you're wearing green, and I don't have like a green. I've got a little Michigan State shirt on that's as green as I could get this morning, getting dressed in the dark. So at least there's some green on me.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine. You know, the intent was there, the spirit was there. That's all. Everybody's Irish today. All right, do your part. That's all.
It's going to be another sneaky good sports day. The tournament gets going.
Yes,
for you baseball fans that are fired up, the World Baseball Classic will reach its finale tonight.
Yep.
Somebody finally beat the Irish. It wasn't the U.S.
The Italians, you mean?
The Italians.
Yeah.
I apologize.
By the way,
the brain's on the Irish.
Did you see the roster breakdown for Team Italy? All right, of the 29 guys associated with Team Italy, how many of them were born in Italy?
My guess is 0.
3.
Okay, well, that's more than I thought.
That is 23 of the 29 born in America. So, one thing I will say about Team Venezuela, everybody on that team is born in Venezuela. All right, this is a BFD in Venezuela. We got a longtime listener of the show, a lawyer buddy of ours. He reached out to the both of us. He said, guys, no joke. This might be the biggest sporting event in the history of the country.
We will give you some factoids from Venezuela later on in the show today, courtesy of Guillermo, who sent them to us late last night or early this morning because he may have started St. Patrick's Day a little early. But the play-in games tonight, World Baseball Classic, a little hockey and a little hoop for those of you that are into that sort of thing. And we've got a St. Patrick's Day poll question in front of us already. So I'm doing what I can to make the co-host happy. I can't get him a beer. I don't know if he'd take one if I got him one.
Don't know if I can either, but certainly not before 10. Like back in the day.
My Irish wife has a task today, something she's never had to do in her life. She has to make corned beef and cabbage.
Oh.
Because it's ready. I got all the fixings ready to go. I got everything that's needed. In fact, I'm not allowed to have alcohol in this place. There are clear rules. No tobacco, no drugs, no alcohol. I walked to the desk the other day and I said, hey, I can't make corned beef and cabbage without pouring a Guinness over it. You guys aren't going to throw me out for bringing a beer to cook with, are you? And they gave me the green light. So there is a Guinness.
See?
Of course, I loved my wife because she simply said, do you think they'd get mad if I brought 2? Miller and Moulton. Thanks for listening.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
This is Miller and Moulton.
David probably sent more texts to myself yesterday than I have in a long time. I say that because I have some tournament factoids for us today whenever we're ready to do tournament talk.
Okay.
I don't know who it was that was giving me that, whatever. Is it Bart? I think it was, Brent, the comedian. Watched him yesterday. I had seen some of his stuff. I didn't know that was his name. The bit on cigarettes is one of the funniest things I've ever seen. I think David moved to Fargo or moved to Florida in
In November of 99.
way past 96, because I moved here in 98.
Yeah. I was in Fargo from September of 94.
There was a Fargo parade starting in 96, according to your boy Robes there.
But there wasn't, my first St. Patrick's Day was 95, and there was nothing.
Yeah, there you go. He's the cigarette bit is spectacular. Spectacular.
I was never a leprechaun. Was never approached about being a leprechaun.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Pat Kerwin will join us on the show today. We're going to do a little scouting. Michael Fly is an assistant with Florida State. They played a whole bunch of teams in the tournament. They didn't play every ACC team that's in the tournament, but they did also play Florida, Houston, Georgia, and A&M. So we're going to bring them on and say, hey, quick scouting reports. What do you got for us? We got to fill out our brackets here. Give us some knowledge. So we got that coming up on the show. Happy St.
David,
Patrick's Day.
And right back at you, and to all our listeners, obviously, as well. We have a poll question up. How are you going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day? So far, it looks like everybody's just eating corned beef and cabbage. Beers, Irish whiskey, corned beef, and cabbage. I'm wearing green are your choices. I did pick corned beef and cabbage, even though I'm wearing green. The corned beef and cabbage is more important. Pretty excited about it. But as I mentioned, I think we might as well get to this, David, because it is the baseball hour after all.
Mm-hmm.
That's your hour.
Yep.
And a couple of things. While David was taking a little siesta yesterday, he missed a long group text that turned out to be a one-on-one group text. But I did it for a reason. And, you know, David answered it right away. I'm like, you saw the first thing. The question was not to you. I know you know the answer. I'm well aware that you know the answer to the question. But the starting pitcher for tonight's game for the U.S. is none other. Hang on, I got to look his name up again because I got no clue who this guy is. Nolan McLean. I'm sorry, Nolan McLean. Sounds like he could be a good Irish kid or a Scottish kid. We don't know. So Nolan is what the USA is throwing on the mound tonight to start the World Baseball Classic. Without looking it up, I want all of you to think about who he plays for. Now, I understand there was supposed to be a guy who was going to be in this role, but he never really accepted the role. He accepted the role for about 37 minutes. And then he backed out again.
Yes, he did.
But he backed out before it started. He said he wasn't going to play. And then after he played, he said he wanted to play. And then he didn't play. So apparently the next best thing that we have to offer is Nolan McLean. And I say that by we because it's the United States of America playing.
Right.
Okay. You all had your chance to guess. David, who does he play for?
He plays for the Mets, Mark. He's a glorified rookie. He pitched in like 12 games last year. Got called up through the system, pitched very well. Was probably their best pitcher in the final month of the season.
He says he's built for this. I've been waiting my whole life for something like this.
Right,
Which
my
is
whole
great
life.
because I have shirts older than this kid.
Yes, you do. I think he's 24.
Right.
Uh-huh.
So good for him. I hope he pitches well. I want the United States to win, I think. But that's the best we can do. A rookie from the Mets?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Okay. I mean, we're taking this seriously. I mean, there is no doubt that we have put our best foot forward for the pitching staff for the World Baseball Classic. I sent the same text that I sent in our group, specifically in our group, to the other guy, because I knew David knew the answer. But I sent it to a few other people that I know that are pretty big sports fans. None of them had a clue. Not one of them. Now, there was one guy I didn't send it to because I know for a fact he would have known. He's a baseball junkie. I knew that you knew. I didn't have a clue who he was. In fact, my other buddy who replied with, I'm a pretty big baseball fan, and not only do I not have a clue, I didn't know who we were trotting out of the bullpen in the game the other night, one after another. I didn't know who these relievers were. That's a problem for baseball. And you and I have talked about this for a long time. And the irony is the baseball players know it's a problem. They're more in tune with the problem than the owners or the commissioner. Because baseball does not promote players. They don't. And they certainly don't promote pitchers. They're starting to with Skeens and Skubal, but that's about it.
But Mark, there were a lot of big time pitchers who said thanks but no to pitching for Team USA. I mean, there were quite a few. I mean, my understanding was Team USA, even midway through the tournament, was still calling around Major League spring trainings, asking certain guys, are you sure? Towards the back end of this thing, you sure you're not available? So, for as much as I want to just pile on Skubal, and believe me, Skubal better hope that McLean pitches well and the USA wins, because he'll take grief for this. Fair or not, he will take grief for this. Because
it's fair, David. It's fair.
Because Skeens pitched the semifinal, and that was his second start of the World Baseball Classic. Okay, so it'd be kind of looking at Skubal going, really? You couldn't find a way to give us a second start, 4 or 5 innings in a championship game? We got to go with a kid who barely lost his
starts.
Yeah, 8, right.
8 starts. He's made 8 major league starts in his life.
I think he barely lost his rookie status for this year. I think he just pitched enough last year where he's technically not a rookie this year. Right. Uh-huh.
Now, because we received this fantastic text at 4:30 in the morning, and this person sent another text to us around midnight, post-game. So I don't know if this man slept. Like, that's how excited he is. Because the first text said it, what a quandary he's in. He's Venezuelan. He's an American citizen, but he's Venezuelan. And he's torn. And he's never been torn in a sporting event in his life. Ever. But he did give us fun facts about Venezuela.
Okay.
I'd play the anthem, but we'd get taken off the air for it.
Right.
He starts with world's largest proven talent reserve. Proof? 7 Miss Universe titles. Well played.
Very nice.
Yes, we have a crap ton of oil too. 90% Catholic, and we drink more scotch than the Scotch and produce the best rum in the world. On time is 1 hour past start time. If a wedding ends before 4 a.m., it's a failure. Your Venezuelan wife won't say you're in the doghouse, but she will say you're on a 3-2 count. That's outstanding. That's outstanding. If you haven't had an arepa, you haven't lived. Colombian arepas are not arepas. I actually have. They're wonderful. We say hi and bye by kissing people on the cheek, even strangers. We don't know what awkward is. We have never been to a World Cup. So tonight is everything. And this is a man that's very happy about the regime change in Venezuela and says this is the biggest day, second only to January 3rd, 2026. This is huge for Venezuela. And even the American players said I think it was yesterday, but I read the article yesterday, the day before, that they're into it, but they're not into it the way other countries are. I mean, they admitted it. The phrase, it just means more. Well, in this case, it just means more for Venezuela. It does. Now, will that give them a victory? I have no idea.
Which is why we need to do this in the Olympics. All right. Because then Nolan McLean is not on the hill tonight. If it was the Olympics, it'd be all hands on deck. Miller and Moulton. The starting five is coming up. Pat Kerwin in 90 minutes on Miller and Moulton.
American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. FloorMeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Koi, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I'm a Tiger fan. I think it's a joke for what it's worth, but that's just me.
Yes. Stove up. 8 o'clock tonight. Big Fox. See. That's not a bad idea for a poll question, by the way. What do you have more interest in today? St. Patrick's Day, the World Baseball Classic?
I agree.
Good morning, Albar. Oh, Steve, I don't think so. No. 25% or
no.
top 25? Hell no. No.
Top 25, not a chance. Yep, that person's right. I like that. Thank you, Spitz. You're right. It's a tough one for me because I'm not drinking.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
22 minutes to the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. Our poll question is, how will you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Beers, whiskey, corned beef and cabbage, wearing green. Right now it's close between wearing green and corned beef and cabbage. Vote accordingly. By the way, I had a good day yesterday, at least in terms of poll questions. We simply asked, did you watch the Oscars, the World Baseball Classic, or neither? You were convinced neither was going to win. World Baseball Classic won.
Shocker.
How about that?
I'm stunned. Definitely got the late vote because when the show ended, it wasn't winning. But there are a lot of people during the day taking the podcast and maybe go on X and goof off at work. So, wow, I'm surprised.
Yeah. 21 minutes before the hour. Time for
The Starting Five. 5 big stories you need to know. Here is The Starting Five.
Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. They've got a winning formula. They are building a better community through BST, business, sports, and tourism. We'll start with the madness. It gets underway tonight. The first four in Dayton. You may need to find True TV. That's where the games will be. Tip-off expected at 6:40 and around 9:15 tonight. Battle of 16 seeds to get it started. UMBC, they've got history as a 16. They're 1.5-point favorites against Howard. The winner will face Michigan. Then Dick Vitale, Charles Barkley on the call for Texas and North Carolina State. CBS reached out to Dickie V, said, we know you're near the end of your career. Been a long time since you did the tournament. Would you like to do a game in the tournament? And then Barkley joined in. And there you have it. 9:15 or thereabouts tonight, Texas and NC State. The Wolfpack are a 1.5-point favorite. The winner faces BYU. There are 8 NIT games tonight. Yeah, I know. You know, some of the teams we hoped were going to be in the tournament, like the Liberties and the Yales of the world, they're playing. Most intriguing game is probably South Alabama at Auburn. 10 o'clock tonight on ESPN2. Auburn, one of the few bubble teams that said, yeah, we'll play in it. Most others said, no, we're good. We're done. Thad Matta retired. 502 wins for Thad in his career. Helped take Ohio State to a championship game. Alabama's Aiden Holloway, their number 2 scorer. Mark, I don't know if I've ever seen this in quotes before. He's been, quote, removed from campus, unquote.
David, I am so stunned that Nate Oates, their coach, is not allowing him to play. If you go through the history of Alabama players, the trouble they've gotten in, the disputes with eligibility, and they've all played. I'm stunned that having a pound of marijuana keeps you from playing basketball for the University of Alabama.
Aiden Holloway arrested 2 felony counts, both of them involving marijuana. Mark, I don't think this is Nate Oates' call.
I don't either.
Yeah,
you know he's lobbying for his player to play. Innocent until proven guilty. By the way, my favorite part about the charges, first-degree marijuana possession. Now, just stop for a second. If it's second-degree marijuana possession, is it really your pot?
That's a good question.
That's all I wonder.
I've never delved into the layers of marijuana possession before, but now I'm intrigued.
You either are possessing it or you're not. There doesn't seem to be degrees of possessing it. That's all. I just found the charge itself interesting.
Alabama's in Tampa this weekend. Friday, Sunday, they start off with Hofstra in a 4-13 game on Friday. Obviously, this matter needs to be dealt with quickly if Holloway is going to join the team. Right now, there's no talk of that. World Baseball Classic. Venezuela handed Italy its first loss, and it'll be their only loss of the tournament in the semifinals. Venezuela trailed 2-0 early, 2-1 in the 7th. Came up with 3 RBI hits. A 3-run 7th was the difference for Venezuela as their bullpen. Be curious to see how much of a bullpen they have tonight against Team USA, because Mark, after giving up 2 runs, 1 out into the 2nd, Venezuela went to their bullpen for 7 2/3 shutout innings. But is it overtaxed for the championship game tonight? USA, Venezuela, 8 o'clock on Big Fox. Venezuela beat Italy 4-2. Eduardo Rodriguez for Venezuela, Nolan McLean for the U.S. And if you don't know who Nolan McLean is, well, you're not alone. NFL news. The Jets eat 7 of the 10 million that's guaranteed this year for Justin Fields and then trade him to Kansas City. They're going to get a 2027 6th-round pick as Fields now becomes the backup to Patrick Mahomes. Cornerback Darius Slay retired. 13 years in the league, started with the Lions, won a Super Bowl with the Eagles, had a really good career. Speaking of the Eagles, man, some other teams should really be kicking themselves unless he told the rest of the league, I only want to play in Philly. Because tight end Dallas Goedert stays with the Eagles for 1 year and $7 million. Really, Denver? Seriously? You couldn't. We literally said last week 1 year, $8 million would get Dallas Goedert. There's a lot of teams out there that could have used Dallas Goedert. Top 10 tight end in the league still. Colts re-signed blocking tight end Mo Alley Cox. And the 49ers keep signing veteran wide receivers. Mike Evans last week, Christian Kirk yesterday, a 1-year deal. He can make up to $6 million. Pat Kerwin in a little more than an hour to talk all things NFL. 5 games in the NHL last night. Artemi Panarin returned to the Garden, this time as a member of the LA Kings. Did the whole video, nice ovation. By the way, classy move by the Rangers, I will say this after the game, for Anze Kopitar, who's been a terrific player in the league for over 15 years. His last game at Madison Square Garden, and the Rangers players lined up for him after the game to shake his hand and congratulate him, and the crowd gave him a standing ovation as he went off the ice. Then again, they don't have a lot to cheer about these days in New York. Kings beat the Rangers 4-1. They're tied with Seattle for the final playoff spot out west. Much needed win for your Wings, Mark. Patrick Kane with 2 goals. He's now 4th all time in terms of U.S. goal scorers with 504. Detroit 5-2 over Calgary.
I figured out how to get he and they to play much better last night because all I did was bitch and moan about how much Patrick Kane sucks, and then he scored 2 goals.
So is that going to be a thing now?
It's going to have to be. It's going to have to be because thank goodness they beat Calgary.
Desperate times, desperate measures. Listen, we'll take one for the team for you. Your team hasn't made the playoffs in 10 years. We understand. This is personal. It's affected your mood. We get it. We get it. Devils continue their improved play. They beat Boston 4-3 in overtime. All right. The Bruins, they're the final wild card. They have a 2-point lead for that final wild card spot in the East over Columbus. Dallas missed a golden opportunity. They were home for Utah last night. Got beat 6-3. The reason they missed a golden opportunity, because the Avs had an out-of-body experience in Colorado and lost at home to the Penguins 7-2.
Nathan McKinnon got very honest after the game. I mean, he obliterated his team in the locker room. I mean, it was 2 minutes and 40 seconds of a takedown of how badly they are playing.
He also, though, had a message for his general manager and his head coach in which he said, yeah, this 7D thing ain't working. Okay, we have no chemistry. You guys have no idea who you're putting back there. Okay, figure it out. But Dallas and Colorado, big showdown tomorrow night. They're just separated by 3 points for best overall record in the league and first in the division. 8 games in the NBA. Atlanta's won 10 in a row. They beat Orlando by 12. Boston got 41 from Jaylen Brown. They beat Phoenix 120-112. Wembanyama, 21 points, 13 rebounds. The Spurs beat the Clippers in LA 119-115. Luka with 36. Lakers 6 straight win. LA shut down Houston down the stretch 100-99. to 92. Kevin Durant, after the game, just said, you know what? Maybe I just need to set screens. Okay, this ain't working. Maybe I just need to do the little things to help this team win. Rockets scored 4 points in the final 6.5 minutes of the game. Golden State handed the Wizards their 12th straight loss, 125-117. Portland over Brooklyn by 19. Chicago over Memphis by 25. Josh Giddey with a triple-double, his 4th in 5 games. And Zion, remember him? Do you think they finally trade him this offseason?
What's he
New
worth?
Orleans, what?
What's he worth?
I don't know, but it ain't working, and he's a big price tag. Wonder if somebody thinks if we got him, you know, he'd be the bomb. New Orleans 129-111 over Dallas. By the way, Shams reported early yesterday, Seattle and Vegas next week going to get approved for expansion teams. Let the bidding begin. The NBA's looking for $7 billion per franchise. That's like the Chicago Bears. $7 billion? What? Seems high, but if you want a franchise, you may have to pay it. Phillies outfielder Johan Rojas suspended 80 games for PED use. And Mark, have you caught the dispute in college football between Conference USA and the Sun Belt?
No.
Louisiana.
I have another college dispute for later in the show.
Louisiana Tech wants to leave one conference and go to the next. And the conference they're leaving is not letting them leave. They say they have to commit to another year. I encourage everybody to check out the schedule for Louisiana Tech next year. It's a 20-game schedule where they're playing on Saturdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, Wednesdays, okay? Because both conferences have them playing full conference slates. This is not a joke. Look up the Louisiana Tech football schedule for 2026. And after the first few Saturdays of just one game, once you get to October, it's 2 games a week for the rest of the year.
Wow.
Obviously.
Load management at La Tech.
I mean, obviously, this isn't going to happen. To give you an idea, okay, they're playing on Thursday, November 19th and Saturday, November 21st.
I'm going to take the points and I'm going to lay the points and take the points. However that works. You know, bet for them and against them. I like the way this will work out as a gambling standpoint.
Can I bet the over-under now? I mean, if they're going to play 20 games, don't you have to take the over?
Absolutely.
And at 7 minutes before the hour, that was the starting 5. 5 big stories you needed to know. Brought to you by Lee County, Florida. They're building a better community through BST. It's a proven winning formula. Business, sports, and tourism.
As a texter said this morning before the show, and I saw it as well, watching a show on Netflix yesterday, they have a documentary on BST. It's not about Lee County. It's on one of the K-pop bands.
Okay.
But you know what this listener thought of when he went on Netflix? Business, sports, and tourism in Lee County.
There you go.
Advertising's working.
Yep.
And we've got a spot for you as well if you want to jump in. Miller and Moulton on St. Patrick's Day. Pat Kerwin, Michael Fly coming up in the 8 o'clock hour. NBA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com, capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine, no more snoring, no more tossing, no more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs and has been for 30 years. American Paint Supplies is also your #1 Festool dealer in Southwest Florida. If you are a builder, cabinet maker, painter, or power tool enthusiast, Festool craftsmanship can be found at American Paint Supplies. Celebrating 30 years of service, and Festool is celebrating 100 years of excellence. Come to American Paint Supply for a perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street, Naples, off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Koi, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Espanol.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
By the way, if you look up that La Tech football schedule, they have a doubleheader on November 7th and a doubleheader on November 28th. Well, left Twix in part because St. John's best non-conference win was Baylor. And the first third of the season, they really struggled.
But it is interesting that Purdue went up to a 2 by winning their conference tournament, and St. John's didn't really get a lot out of beating UConn and winning their tournament. So
Well, and I think the thing that's got UConn most upset is they're sent west, or St. John's. They're sent west. You think that's a good draw, Clark? Playing Kansas in the second round? What segment this hour are you going to do your factoids?
I can do it whatever you want to talk tournament. I've got a lot of tournament stuff.
Go. Yeah, ambient. Obviously, this is going to a lawsuit. Lawyers are going to get involved. They can only be a member of one conference at a time.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Hour 2 of Miller and Moulton on this Tuesday. Happy St. Patrick's Day. Thanks for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. St. Patrick's Day, the focus of our poll question. How are you going to celebrate it today? Little beer, little whiskey, little Irish food, or I'll put on something green, I guess. That's our poll
And then
question.
what do you have more interest in? St. Patrick's Day, the World Baseball Classic, or the first four? I voted World Baseball Classic because, and only because, Miami of Ohio is playing tomorrow. If they were playing tonight, I'd be watching them. But NC State and Texas, I have zero interest in. Zero. I don't think either team is going to do anything in this tournament. I know we've had 11s make deep runs. I don't think the bubble's good enough for that this year. I think if either of these teams weren't in the tournament, no one would care. No one.
I think the World Baseball Classic is going to outrate the first four tonight in a big way. I think the fact that the World Baseball Classic will start and it'll be early second half of UMBC Howard, I think will help the World Baseball Classic a lot. And that really the WBC could get 4 innings in before Dickie V and Barkley even start calling Texas and NC State.
Pat Kerwin coming up in an hour. Michael Fly, assistant coach at Florida State, coming up in about 90 minutes. You know, you mentioned all the ACC tournament teams they played, but they played Alabama in an exhibition. They played Florida. They played Texas A&M, and they played Georgia this year, and Houston for that matter.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So they played quite a few tournament teams, David. So a lot to talk to Fly about when we have him coming up about the tournament. I mean, he's a lot of insight. One, he's a great basketball mind. He truly is. Loves the game, knows the game incredibly well. And they've played a lot of tournament teams. But, David, I was telling you, and I said it on the air, and you and I both do this. You know, I know we could bookmark a post that we like on X. I'm not going through all that. I text myself. Sometimes I text posts to David of things that I think that are interesting that we might be able to get a little something out of the show. But I was texting myself different things from the tournament. First and foremost, the estimated roster and NIL spend of teams in the tournament. These are the teams that spend the most money. We all know that Kentucky's number one, spending nearly $20 million or over $20 million on their roster. Duke is 2. Duke is one of 3 1 seeds that make the survey of the top 10 spending on rosters. Duke at 12 million. Arkansas, they're a 4 seed. They spend 11.5. Now there's a bunch of teams that are right at around 10.5 million. There's only one team in there that's a 1 seed. That's Michigan. The others, Louisville, a 6 seed. They're taking on South Florida. Texas Tech, a 4 seed, and one of the guys they were paying a ton of money to is hurt and gone, which Texas Tech might have been better than a 4 seed with him. St. John's, a 5 seed, also spending 10.5 million. The team they will get in the 4-5 matchup, Kansas, is next. Kansas, Tennessee, and Arizona, all spending 9.5 million. But of those 10 teams, you have 3 1 seeds in Duke, Michigan, and Arizona. Not 1 2 seed, not 1 3 seed, for what it's worth.
Okay.
You know, when you combine that with what the coaches are getting, there are some teams that jump on that list pretty quickly. But David, UConn, for those of you that like to gamble, they've got a little string going. They've covered 14 straight NCAA tournament games.
Wow.
It's the longest against the spread streak since 79.
Wow.
And I don't have who has it, so I apologize. The next closest since then is West Virginia, who had a 12-game streak from 98 to 08, and Nova had an 11-game streak from 85 to 88. So UConn has covered 14 straight tournament games. Can they keep that going to 15? I like their chances in a 2-15 game for what it's worth. He's not afraid to blow out bad teams. And they've struggled a little bit recently. Don't you think he might let them run roughshod over a bad team just to kind of get their mojo going again in this tournament?
Sure. Sure. But that actually impresses me more than covering in the Sweet 16 game, because the first round and sometimes second round, those are big numbers. And to cover those the last couple of years, wow. Good for him and them.
By the way, for those of you that want more tournament teams, and I don't know anybody that does.
Yeah, really.
But when they take, we talked about this, but when they take the teams, if we go from the first 4 to the first 12, which is what they're talking about, going to 76 in this thing.
Uh-huh.
Arizona State, Cal, Oklahoma State, Va-Tech, Indiana, Oklahoma, Auburn, and San Diego State. So one mid-major, if you will, in San Diego State makes it. As this post points out, still no room for Belmont, New Mexico, Yale, Akron, South Florida, who are in the tournament, South Florida and Akron, but if they didn't win their conference championship, would have had no shot.
Yeah, and that would have been very troubling if the field was 76 and South Florida and a couple of other, VCU, if they had lost, and if neither one of those teams could have gotten an at-large. Listen, Coach K came out the other day and eviscerated the idea. And I mean eviscerated it. So, I mean, a lot of coaches think it's dumb. Think it would ruin the best thing about their sport. And clearly this year, the other thing, Mark, is the point spread has never been bigger in the 2-15, 3-14, and 4-13 games than it is in this year's tournament. Take that for what you will, but it's what we talked about, that this tournament's top heavy. And the bottom of the tournament, not only did the bubble suck, the 10s and the 11s, okay, but quite a few of the mid and small conference teams who dominated their conferences got beat in their conference tournaments. So keep that in mind.
Well, on the other side of that, David, and that's a good point, but I think the bigger point, and the Miami of Ohio coach has already talked about it, You know, he was asked how tough it's going to be to keep his focus, his team's focus heading into their game tomorrow. And he didn't think he was going to have a problem, but he was asked point blank, our team's tampering. And he said, oh, yeah, it's nonstop. Here's a good MAC team. Everybody's coming after their kids. So I think these point spreads have more to do with the portal and the NIL money that these kids are able to get going from small conference teams to Power 4 teams than it. I mean, yes, the disparity, but I think the disparity between the 215s and the 314s, David, has far more to do with the portal than anything else.
Absolutely. It's difficult to keep that the kid that you nurtured and developed or that you grabbed from D2 early in his career or JUCO. And then his junior year, you know, he has a coming out party and then he would have been yours as a senior. And now, nope. High majors coming in saying, thank you. Appreciate that. I mean, Robert McRae at Florida State. You know, he had 2 big years at Jacksonville. He didn't play. I think it was at Clemson. Couldn't get on the court at Clemson. Transfers to Jacksonville. His first team all-conference twice. And he's going to be a senior in Florida State. Says, we'll take you. And he's going to make third team all-conference. And he made the all-conference tournament first team in the ACC. Normally, he would have been at Jacksonville this year, probably the player of the year in the conference.
And I don't blame the kid. Go get the bag. The odds are you're not playing in the NBA. This is an opportunity to make some life-changing money. I don't blame the kid.
I don't either.
That's why we're not going to see many more 15s beat 2s, if you know what I mean. It's just difficult for that to happen.
Right. The old adage of get old and stay old. It's almost impossible now for the small schools to do it.
It really is. It really is. One last thing. You were talking about this a couple of weeks ago that I think you were the one that brought it up, but Florida State in the last month, if they were just ranking the last month, they would have been like a top 30 team the way they were playing as they headed into the ACC tournament. That's why David and I were talking about Florida State, and they damn near beat Duke. Here are first round games. If you take the last month rankings, teams that are seeded lower, bigger seed numbers that are actually ranked ahead of their opponents in the last month. USF, 2 spots ahead of Louisville. VCU, 10 spots ahead of North Carolina. North Carolina lost their guard to the broken thumb. He's done. Santa Clara, 2 spots ahead of Kentucky. Utah State, 21 spots ahead of Nova. Iowa, 12 spots ahead of Clemson. And Georgia, 119 spots ahead of St. Louis. So as you're filling out your brackets, those are 6 teams that are higher seeds or lower seeds, however you want to look at, bigger seeds, higher number, that are actually in the last month playing better than their opponent. Take it for what it's worth for gambling and or bracket purposes.
Miller and Moulton. That's some of Mark's factoids. I got one. That's all. I got one. It's for the last line of your bracket. Something that you need to keep in mind. This is a 20-year trend. And it's come through 19 out of 20 times. Final line of your bracket. Keep what I'm about to say in mind next. Miller and Moulton. Pat Kerwin in 45 minutes.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
PA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit edisonawards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
I have not. I will probably do so today because I have to get into a pool with my cousin slash godson. He's out in Boise, Idaho. And I always do his pool because I actually won it one year. And I feel like I've got to give the money back every year until we're about even. In fact, he's the last guy I know that still does one. I used to be in a few of these. He's the last one that has a money one. What happened with what, M3 Max? What happened? It's a very generic question. A lot of things have happened. But what specifically are you asking, sir? Or ma'am, for that matter? No picture, no idea your gender. Don't want to guess. Oh, you're just trolling. Okay, well, good morning. Enjoy yourself. St. John's in the Final Four. That's bold. I'm not going to knock you because it's, many think that's the toughest region. So I will say the interesting thing about that is, and I know people are down on Kansas. I'm not a fan of Duke either, but they're still, God, I hate them, but they're good. Bill Self is the winningest coach left in the NCAA, and he's got to get through them. And I know Kansas is not a normal Kansas team, but just thought that was interesting. Then you still got, even if they get through Duke, they're going to get UConn again or Michigan State. So it's just a tough region, and you got to pick someone. I'm not knocking it. It's just whoever you pick there. I Good luck, I guess, would be the best way to say it. DC, I'm with you, but I'm not. I mean, again, you got, what do you have? You got Duke, UConn, Sparty. No, Sparty's the 3. St. John's is the 5. Kansas is the 4. I mean, it is. I mean, it's a, most think that's the toughest region. That Duke did not get much of a reward. Fam, I hope so. The thing that worried me more than anything was the South Florida player yesterday said it won't be an upset if we beat Louisville. I'd be like, why? Why did you have to say something like that? I don't know if you caught it, David, but a South Florida kid in an interview, and it might have just been something I saw in the local news, said basically it wouldn't be an upset if we beat Louisville. And I'm like, I know you're right, but why do you need to say that out loud?
Because he's never been to the tournament before.
I know. All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X.
Dave,
All right.
I want to entertainment tonight your tease just for a second, because it was a terrific tease and I want to let it build just a moment, because I looked at all of these games where the team in the last month is ranked ahead of the team they're playing, even though they're not the better seed.
Right.
Iowa is a slight favorite. Georgia is a slight favorite. The other games, UCF, VCU, Santa Clara, Utah State, you're all getting, not a lot, but 1.5 to, I think USF's getting the most at around 4.5. So 4 of those 6 teams are dogs. 2 of them, well, Vegas paying attention to the last 30 days as well. But David had a juicy factoid. 19 of the last 20 years, this has been true. I mean, this is good stuff. I wanted entertainment tonight. This one wasn't going to wait till, the 9 o'clock hour to do it, but I thought it needed a little air, if you know what I mean.
This is for the final line and the final line only. So while it sounds remarkable when you think about it, it probably shouldn't be so. But 19 of the last 20 NCAA tournaments, the champion was one of 2 things. A 1 seed, or B, a Big East school. 19 out of 20. We can go all the way back. All right. Remember, we didn't have a tournament in 2020. So the streak starts in 2005 with North Carolina, a 1 seed. The only team that wasn't a 1 seed or a Big East school that's won the Natty in the last 20 years, Billy Donovan's first Florida team. They were a 3 seed. When they repeated, they were a 1. Kansas, a 1. Carolina, Duke. 2011, UConn's big run, they were a 3. Kentucky, Louisville, UConn, their most famous big run, a 7 seed. Duke, Villanova, when they won it the first time for Jay Wright, a 2 seed. Carolina 1, Nova 1, Virginia 1, Baylor a 1, Kansas a 1, UConn again a 4 for Hurley. Then when they repeated, they were a 1, and the Gators were a 1 last year. So for the final line, 19 of the last 20, a 1 seed or a Big East school. 3 Big East teams in the tournament this year. None of them will won. If you want to put one of them in your final line, you can. It fits the criteria. Good luck. So that's my first one. The second one, I don't think it's super remarkable when you think about it, but when you first hear it, mark this century, the most Western school to win the national championship, Baylor. A little further west than Kansas by like 2 degrees, either latitude or longitude. I don't know which one. But think about it. Zags never cut down the nets. It's been since 97 for Arizona, 95 for UCLA. Big drought in the western half of the country. Does Arizona end it this year? Just throwing that out there. And Mark, there are 4 schools.
Longitude, by the way.
Is it? Thank you.
Well, I mean, you just think about it. The Buffett song, changes in latitude, changes in attitude. You know, that's
Okay.
That's an easy way to remember for you.
Thank you.
No problem. I'm here for you, David.
Well, you really are. Lawrence, Kansas, like 95 point something degrees longitude, and Waco, Texas, 97.1. I looked it up because I know people would challenge me, because goodness knows they challenge us on everything. All right. Longest active tournament streaks. 4 schools have been to the tournament 10 or more years in a row. That's it. 4. Your alma mater's one of them. Second longest streak is Michigan State. 28 years in a row. Third longest streak, Gonzaga. 27 in a row. Purdue, 4th longest streak at 11 in a row. But ladies and gentlemen, the longest consecutive years making the NCAA tournament streak, the Jayhawks of Kansas. 36 years in a row. Only 4 schools have made the tournament 10 or more years in a row. Houston and Tennessee, 8 each. Bama, Illinois, Texas, and UConn, 6 each to round out the top 10. It's a little harder than you think. So there you go. That's all I got.
We'll have more tomorrow, because it really, at this point of the year, I don't know about you, David, but you do as much research for this show in a day as I do in a week most times. Not during tournament week.
Right.
During tournament week, we both grind. And brackets have largely lost their luster. I will say, there are many great things about the internet. The way we can get information, you know, particularly for David and I and what we do. It's terrific. But one of the things that I think the internet has killed is brackets. Because we've all done them for years for the most part. There was always an office pool. Hell, I ran office pools at a lot of places that I worked. And everybody did them. Everybody. From the secretary, you know, I worked at for a hockey team. Hockey players, hockey coaches who knew nothing about college basketball would fill them out. The woman in HR would do one, for crying out loud. Everybody did a damn bracket because it was on a piece of paper. And a couple of things have happened. One, not as many of us are in offices as we once were, obviously. COVID put a lot of people working at home, and they stayed at home. I get it. But I don't know about you, David, but there's something about filling out your bracket. And you and I still like to print out our bracket and fill out our bracket.
Mm-hmm.
Doing it online, where you're doing it region by region, however you want to do it,
hated it,
is not as much fun. It
It's
just
not.
isn't. Don't ask me why. And you realize halfway through that you have Mississippi State playing Michigan State in the 4th round, and you've answered MSU for both of them. And then you have to go back and put MISS period ST period. I do think the old school way of filling out a bracket, David, has hurt the brackets and widespread gambling as well. There are a lot of reasons, but it's just not the same.
I used to grab the local paper and I literally would carry, the Monday sports section around with me for the next 2+ weeks. And I would keep it. And I would just fold the top and the bottom parts, and then I would fill in the bracket right on it. And that's it. I would carry the paper around with me. How am I doing in the tournament? I'd have to open up my drawer, grab the paper, throw it in front of me. I'd carry it with me. I'd be at dinner. I'd have my paper with me. I'm old school.
And for this, so am I, David. For this, so am I. And trust me, as the guy who had to grade the brackets, it's a hell of a lot easier when you fill it out online and it does it for you.
Yep.
But don't tell me that going to the office on Friday morning after the first games and seeing if somebody pulled off a 16-0 or a 15-1 wasn't the first thing you were looking forward to. Miller and Moulton.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real. Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise on 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing, and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000, depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
That's pretty funny, Ambient. That is funny. Sign of the times. I did see, I think it was Andy Katz, DC, that did like his Final Four mascots. And I love it because Sparty makes it every year. but he had, I think he had, like, I got to see that. That was actually pretty good. See if I can find that for you. Okay, he had, wow. Oh, Zippy. I had to figure out who it was. The Akron mascot was one of his Final Four mascots, along with Sparty, Albert the Gator, and Bucky Badger. I think that's a good list. I might put Miami's on there. I do like Sebastian the Ibis. I'm a fan. But I guess it's not the live mascot thing because George is in the tournament. Ugga and Sparty are traditionally ranked 1 and 2 in the mascot polls. I've got something here, David. And it's football. And it's college football.
Okay.
I do like the shots at the conference tournaments, and I think I saw the ACC tournament. Did we? Rick, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it was 2.5.
I apologize.
That's okay. I didn't know if you had like a timer in your computer or just looking at the one on the screen. So
No, I think I ran a spot twice now that I look at it. I apologize. I didn't see it, and I thought I was short, so that's on me.
okay, and still doing a 5 minutes here though.
Yeah, we have to. Well, I think everybody but you started running at 30 seconds early, but Rick, I would go ahead and pot your spots up so that it goes over the network, though, because if not, we're going to have dead air for 30 seconds.
Yeah, it actually does run down the
Okay.
Affiliate
Good.
brick, as it's called, while we're doing local spots. So it's always
Okay.
there.
Gotcha. Yeah, we did. All right, whatever. But I think it was the ACC tournament. And, all the mascots were out on the court. I'm just like, outside of an all-star game, you don't see that often. And I always like that. I think kids and fans both look at the mascots and check everything out. Some goobers probably think it's awful, but I take the whole thing in. You know me. It's all about the TV show. And I just thought it was funny because, the orange guy, the Syracuse Orange, and, like some of the other mascots who were bounced very early from the tournament. The teams were long gone, but the mascot got to stay. And there was part of me that made me laugh. Because the school's on the hook for that.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes until Pat Kerwin joins us to talk all things NFL. Little scouting report. Florida State assistant and general manager of the program, Michael Fly. Knowles played 13 games against tournament teams this year. We'll get his scouting report on not just the 8 ACC teams. Florida State played most of them. But early in the season, the Knowles didn't have a lot of success, but they played Florida, Houston, Georgia, and A&M. Took Florida to the end in Gainesville early in the season.
And an exhibition game with Bama to start this. So
Michael Fly with a scouting report of some of the teams in the tournament as we're all making our picks. That's coming up.
All right, David, let me ask you a question. And obviously there's no wrong answer, even though I have what the answer is.
Okay.
But, well, for this particular subject I'm bringing up. But outside individual honor, outside of maybe winning the Heisman as a college football athlete, and maybe including winning the Heisman, what do you think is the best individual honor you can get from your university for playing college football?
Now, is being inducted into the school's Hall of Fame count or no?
Absolutely, that would count.
That would be it. For
All
me.
right, and I think this is a touch bigger.
Okay.
It's actually one step above that, because not a lot, but the greats of the greats go into the Hall of Fame.
Okay. You're going to say retire the number?
Exactly.
Okay.
I mean, that's what, to me, that's one notch above being a Hall of Famer.
Yeah, it is. You're right.
Your number being retired. I don't know of an individual honor that a university could bestow upon you that's greater. And you may think out there that there is one. And if there is, text us. Pelican Roofing of Florida text line wide open, 21,000. But Matt Leinart had one of the great college careers of all time.
Uh-huh.
Back-to-back natties, a play away from 3 while he was taking ballroom dancing.
Won a Heisman and finished 3rd the next year.
And if you win a Heisman at USC, they retire your number. And trust me, that list of players who's had their numbers retired at USC is a pretty damn good list.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I mean, it's a really good list.
Mike Garrett, OJ, Marcus Allen. All right. Leinart, Bush, obviously,
Palmer,
Caleb Williams, and Carson Palmer. I think that's the 8, isn't it?
Charlie White.
Ah, okay.
Charles White. But yeah, I mean, what an amazing honor. And think about it, of all the schools, I mean, you might want to say Notre Dame, and sure, I'll let you have that argument. But at USC, I don't care. Michigan, Ohio State, Alabama, USC, throughout the history of the sport, that's royalty.
Well, and Mark, when you walk into the Coliseum, the end zone where the Olympic flame would be, where you see the arches, when you walk into the put it this way, if you're watching a USC game on television, the arches are to your right. It's the end zone to your right. That's also, Mark, where they have each number very prominently displayed. I mean, a huge, lot of room to it. There is no way to be in the Coliseum and miss who the retired USC numbers are.
So there are a handful of those jerseys at USC that are retired. And these are all-time college athletes. All time.
Mm-hmm.
And there have been, over the years, some players whose numbers have been retired at other schools that they've brought out of retirement.
Right.
I can think of a case of Michigan, a guy whose numbers retired like in the 30s or 40s or some crap. And it was like 98. And they brought it back. And the family was cool with it. He had long passed on. And the family thought, hey, what a great way to then recognize, our grandfather, great-grandfather, whatever it was, then to let someone wear that jersey again. It will get him talked about, it will get him recognized, and he's no longer with us. So sure, you can do it. Well, Matt Leinart has been asked now a few times by USC to unretire his jersey. And he keeps telling them the same thing. Pound sand. And I don't blame him one bit. And his reasoning is very simple. He talks about the honor of walking in and seeing what you just talked about, David.
Mm-hmm.
For him to walk in and see that jersey means everything to him. He played his whole career at USC, by the way. And the reason they want to have him unretire that jersey is there's been a couple of 5-star quarterbacks that they've had a shot at.
Yep.
And he said flat out, why am I going to unretire my jersey for the chance that that guy wears it 1 year and transfers somewhere else? And I don't blame him one bit. Not one bit. Hey, 15 years ago, when the rules were different, I may have had a different opinion on this. And I have no problem with the portal. I would change some things with it. I have no problem with NIL. But in this particular case, I'm on Matt Leinert's side, David.
I am also.
I mean,
was on
there's
his
no
side
guarantee that kid's going to stay.
I was on his side 15 years ago, even when the thought was the kid was going to stay. Nope. That was my number. I made that number famous. No, I want a Heisman wearing that number at a royalty school. You get your own number. Okay. Big difference between high school and USC, kid.
Big difference.
Yep. Nope.
Big difference.
I got no problem. And USC going to get mad at me? Whatever. I can handle it.
So I just thought, in today's world where recruiting's everything, and think of a program, there aren't too many programs that to me are trying to get back to where they were quite like USC is.
Yeah, Nebraska.
I mean, there's Nebraska.
Right.
I get it.
Yep.
Like, I hold USC in higher regard than I hold Nebraska. I think most of us do. They've done it longer, and they've done it better than most any other college football program. For damn near a century, USC's been a royalty program, and they are dying to get back to that level of excellence. So I can see where the university would pressure Matt Leinart, because the whole thing's about who your quarterback is and who a recruit is. But if I'm Matt Leinart in the NIL transfer portal world, yeah, good luck with that.
Well, here's how combustible the NIL portal world is. I mean, Troy Aikman talked about it recently, that he gave money one time here in the last couple of years to UCLA. UCLA came calling, and it was a quarterback. And they said, hey, the going rate is X. Will you pay it? And he said, yeah, I'll do it. And it was 7 figures. And the kid transferred after a year. And Troy said, don't call me again. Don't call me again. Nope. Sorry. And that's why there's quite a few famous alums at other schools. Because, I mean, let's face it, if you're a school nowadays, I mean, you're hitting up all your famous alums. I mean, come on. Imagine at Indiana, who's been hit up for money in the last year and a half. I mean, remember, they made a big deal about we got the largest alumni base. Start working the phones, emails. Let's go.
By the way, they're all chipping in.
Yeah. Well,
their alumni spending the money.
Yeah. Most of them, not all of them, though.
It's funny. I was close once. I get the letters from Michigan State asking for donations, and I had it. And I was about to fill it out. And the whole Nasser thing broke.
Oh.
And I ripped it up and threw it away. And I've never thought about giving a dime since. Now, they don't need my, $50, $100 a year that I'd be giving, but
Right.
that's a school with a huge alumni base. Imagine if, just at Florida or Florida State, if every living alumni was giving $100 a year on top of the big boys that are giving real money. Trust me, it would make a difference.
Sure would.
And that's what's going on in Indiana right now. This huge alumni base is all donating different amounts of money.
Yeah. Not only do I have no problem with not giving up the retired number, I have problems with, hey, man, that stadium's got a certain name on it. Don't change it. You know, there was life before you. And you get this now with basketball arenas, so we got to find and put the coach's name on the court. Okay, but don't change the arena.
Yeah, it might be Coach K Court. It's still Cameron Indoor.
Exactly. You know, at Alabama. I mean, Nick Saban, you could argue he's the best ever. Then again, there are certain Alabama folks who would tell you that the guy whose name is on the stadium is the best ever. Bryant-Denny Stadium. Named him after a guy in the first half of the century, Denny, and then added Coach Bryant to it in the second half. Didn't have any room for Nick. So I believe they play on Nick Saban Field inside Bryant-Denny Stadium. Sorry, Nick. Best 6 national titles for us. We really appreciate it. It's the best we can do. Don't know what to tell you. He came before you. And besides, they're still wearing his hat and they're still wearing his checkerboard on skirts. Okay? Nobody ever walked around here in a sweater vest.
By the way, I don't see Rupp Arena changing anytime soon.
No.
It will be fascinating because we brought up North Carolina last week, and the Dean Smith Center is probably moving. It's going to get torn down, and they're going to have a new building. I'm guessing it's going to get a new name, David.
Oh, get a corporate name, really?
Maybe not a corporate name, but who's the donor that might be given 50, 75, $100 million for that facility to get built?
First off, if I was the guy, I'd make sure that everybody knew I was given the money, and I would have a press conference in which I say, and by the way, I proudly name this building the Dean Smith Center.
I'll be fascinated of what happens at North Carolina because I'm with you, David. That's what I would do as well. But people who write those big of checks, David, typically want their name on something. That's part of the reason that they're giving the check. And it's not while they're alive, it's when they're gone.
Yep, I get it. Don't know what to tell you, sir. Who do you think's made a bigger impact on North Carolina basketball, you or Dean Smith? All right. I'll hang up and listen.
I'm David. I can't tell you how many different ways you're correct. I'm just saying.
I mean, sir, we did think about adding a name to it, but Michael Jordan said, I'm comfortable with it remaining the Dean Smith Center.
Miller and Moulton. We'll get into some NFL talk with Pat Kerwin coming up top of next hour. But as David mentioned at the beginning of this segment, Michael Fly, about 45 minutes from now. He's not the coach at Florida State, but he's the GM, if you will. And they played a lot of tournament teams. We'll talk with our old friend Michael Fly about what he thinks of the teams coming out of the ACC, what he thinks about the Gators, because he played a bunch of them this year, and we'll find out his thoughts on that. A couple of poll questions. They're all around St. Patrick's Day. How you celebrate with the beer, with some whiskey, with some corned beef, or are you just wearing green? And then what do you have the most interest in today? St. Patrick's Day, the World Baseball Classic, the final is tonight, or the first four? Miller_Moulton on X to vote. Pat Kerwin next.
American Paint Supplies, celebrating 30 years in Naples, is proud to be the exclusive Farrow & Ball dealer in Southwest Florida. The best thing to come from the UK since the Beatles, Farrow & Ball has the colors and paints at American Paint Supplies. See why all the designers and painters choose Farrow & Ball. For 30 years, American Paint Supplies provides the perfect pairing of service and expertise. On 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. American Paint Supplies is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you can be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape. Let's talk the big differences between Floor Meisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floor Meisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floor Meisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floor Meisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floor Meisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floor Meisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Koi, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, boys.
Hey there.
How are
How are
things
you?
in warm Southwest Florida?
I got a sweater on. The wind is blowing.
Well,
That little
it's-
rain thing we had last night was brutal.
Well, it's in the 30s in Jacksonville, and it's like 44 in Tampa.
Yeah. It's cold, but then I don't know if you didn't get that rain bomb we got last night. It lasted like a half hour, but it was
Yeah.
a classic summer shower, but with wind, and the
Yeah.
wind was coming off the Gulf, blowing straight into my place.
Yeah, we got it too at 60 miles an hour. But yeah, your temperature's gone down, Pat. When the show started, it was 59. It's 54 in Fort
I
Myers.
know. It is the wind is rattling out there, but it is what it is. I don't mind. We've had so many nice days in a row. This is fine by me. I told you, I can't get any of the crap work done that I have to do until I have a rainy day. There's just a rainy day schedule, and I'm getting ready to be on it all day. When I heard you guys talking about Rupp Arena and Dean's, I'm thinking, did this start when Matt Leinart said no one can use my jersey?
Yep.
Matty.
And I've got no problem with it.
No.
Some kid's going to play there for a year and be gone? No.
No.
Sorry, that's mine.
Yeah. I met with Matt and his father, and he was coming out of his junior year. And Peter said, you ought to sit with Pat. He'll explain to you what's going on in the world of the NFL. So I said to Matt, let's watch tape together with your dad. This is not NFL. This is not NFL. This is not NFL. You really need to play another year. And if you don't want to, that's fine. We can get you drafted, but I'm just telling you. And he stayed. And he still wasn't good enough.
Right. But there were, whether it would have happened or not, but the conjecture, Pat, was if he had come out a year early, he would have gone number 1, but he stayed and they took another look at him, and I think he went 10th.
Well, I don't know if he was really going to be 1, but I called around to guys, Charlie, Charlie Castle, those kind of guys, and they did not think so. They thought middle of the first round, but
okay.
And that's what I said to him. I said, look, I don't really care where you're drafted. I just care if you're good enough, and you're not good enough. And then he goes to Arizona, and Wisenhunt, who was one of my players, and I'm still very close to Kenny. Kenny couldn't stand him.
Nope. Played Kurt as soon as he could.
Yep. And, what's his name was on that staff too. And he hated him. But Matt got himself in trouble because he went and lived with one of those pop singers in L.A., and they were just running around town all the time. Todd Haley was the quarterback coach. Oh, boy, did Todd think that guy was not disciplined. It's okay. He's a great guy. I like Matt a lot. And
does a good job. I think he does a good job as a
he's smooth, and he played his part to try to beat Texas in the national championship game.
Yep. All right, here we go.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Halfway home in Jacksonville and Tampa St. Pete. Final hour of the show. Southwest Florida, Port Charlotte, Venice, Live Oak Lake City. We are Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We have not one but 2 poll questions today. St. Patrick's Day involved in both. First, how will you celebrate St. Patrick's Day? Will you drink beer? Will you drink Irish whiskey? Will you have some corned beef and cabbage? Or will you just put on something green? And then what do you have more interest in today? St. Patrick's Day, the first 4, the NCAA tournament getting underway, or the World Baseball Classic tonight, the U.S. and Venezuela for the championship. Vote accordingly. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X. Tuesday at this time means Pat Kerwin. He joins us courtesy of Pinchers, Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers where you can't fake fresh. How you doing?
I'm doing great, and I'll answer your question. I think the baseball game of those things, certainly the get-in basketball games don't excite me. We have a big pool. I want to thank the 2 of you because last year on this particular day, I said, fellows, I got my pool with Coach Childress and my brothers and a whole bunch of all Midwestern guys that they're going to just try to draft Big Ten teams. I asked you 2 guys, which team's going to win the whole thing? And you both said Florida. I traded my whole draft for Florida and won the whole thing. Thank you very much. I'm asking that question this year. Who would you take if you could have one team?
Oh, wow.
Michigan.
Arizona.
Okay, that's not helping me, you 2.
I'm sorry. Sorry. I like Mark's choice. I think it's the safest. Okay. And a team west of the Mississippi basically hasn't won it in 30 years, but I don't know. I got a feeling. But
Pat, off air, we were talking about former quarterbacks. I want to start on air with the current quarterback because I think this guy has some similarities to the guy we were talking about during the break, and that's Kyler Murray, and he's now a Viking. If there's been a question mark, and there have been several about this young man, but his discipline, his willingness to learn, his willingness to take time trying to figure out how to play the position, not just on the field, but in the film room, has been questioned. His new head coach, pretty damn good with quarterbacks. So when you look at Kyler Murray and the Vikings, what do you see long term?
That is, if he doesn't succeed short term, there is no long term. And I think the guy has made a wise choice where he's going, and hopefully Kevin can repair him. But it really is him, because of all the things you listed there, Mark, the one you left out was the one that troubles me the most, and it's his immaturity. You ever watch him on the sideline? He sulks. He doesn't lead the team. He sits by himself. You know, there were other quarterbacks that played the position that were talented, but they didn't want to be the leaders. And one of them, I'll never forget it, said to me, I just want to throw the ball. Why do they want me to lead the team? He said that on my radio show. I go, well, that's it, folks. His career's going down the tube. So I think if he goes there and he's been humbled by this, what happened to him, yeah, he's getting the money, but he knows he got thrown out. If he takes that to heart and takes on the challenge of being a better leader and a listener. Remember, I thought he manipulated his coach, who really got him drafted first overall. And then I felt like he kind of almost turned on his coach because he was trying to preserve himself. So he's got issues that way. And I hope this is his chance to become a true leader of a football team, because the quarterback, whether they like it or not, are the leaders of the team.
Pat, in all honesty, in all your years in the game, and you could go back to your days in college and high school for that matter, who wasn't a leader who 7, 8, 10 years into their career becomes a leader of men? I mean, does it really happen? I mean, do you know of a quarterback who was an immature jerk in his 20s who by his 30s was the leader of the team?
Well, it's a very tough thing to do, because if it's not natural, it's not going to happen. I think that's your real point. Guys, I think some guys need the respect of the locker room, and when they don't have it early, it shatters them emotionally, and they don't know how to regain it. But I will say Sam Darnold, to me, he was having such a hard time at the Jets. I can tell you right now that Geno Smith, whether you like him or not, he was a kid that really wasn't ready for pro football himself, personally, emotionally. Everything was wrong. He bounced around this league and got humble pie. And then he got to Pete Carroll behind Russell. And Pete felt like, I can nurture this guy into more than he was and more than he think he should be. And I will say that I think Geno got to the point where he could stand in front of his teammates and they respected him. And that wasn't the case before.
Okay. All right.
Matt, I'm looking through a list of available free agents. And the particular site I have has them broken down by position and the top 10 free agents at each position. Now, most of these guys are signed. But as I scroll through it, the thing you always talk about are the young guys, the 25, 26-year-olds that are available. I don't see a lot of them left. Who are the young free agents that you'd be looking at right now?
Yeah, it's a great statement, because even last week when everything was just getting rolling, we saw the 30-year-olds going out the door pretty quickly, and people weren't afraid of that. So when you look for young guys, and I don't know how we should define that, but
under 30?
Yeah, if it's under 30, let's go to the receivers first. Juwan Jennings is 29, soon to be 30. Christian Kirk, 29. Those guys are on the cusp of not qualifiers for what you want.
All right.
When you get to
Kirk, I think last night Kirk signed a deal with the Niners 1 year, could make up to $6 million. So Kirk might be off the list today.
Right. And it's going to happen to a bunch of guys. Yesterday, I mentioned on my show that there was a young linebacker I liked that no one seemed to like. And then all of a sudden, overnight, he's signed. And that was the Jack Gibbons kid, who I wrote down when I got done grading him, diamond in the rough. And I know that there were people that were starting to like him. And then last night, he signed with Arizona. But Arizona's signing anyone they can. So maybe that's a little different. Then there's some guys that you think are older than they are. And that's an interesting comment, because they were around so long. What's his name? Kenneth Murray. I think of Kenneth Murray in his 30s. He's 27, but he's been playing since he's 20. So you start to see there are some guys that you look down at their age and go, wait a second, not bad. Devin White's had an up and down career. 28-year-old guy. So there are guys. I mean, I'm not a fan of Benito Jones, 28 years old. But if you look at the guys under 30, I can scroll through here. But it's funny because I wrote my list of my top 45 last Thursday, and it's amazing they're still here. Here's what happened. Week 1, big flood. We all get it. Over the weekend, we had 28 signings of some or re-signings. And then you get to what's left. And I still have like 30 guys here. And most of them are older. Kirk Cousins, Matt Milano, Juwan Jennings. We'll see what happens there. Stephon Diggs, Bobby Wagner's old, Von Miller's old, Batonio's old. Those old guards, I will say this. There's 3 old guards that if you don't get a quality guard starter in the draft, I'd sign one of those old guys, Wyatt Teller, and put him out there for a year or two. And the old Parcells would say, hold down the fort. But I'm looking for young guys. You know, Jadeveon Clowney's not old. He's just crossed the 30 line, but that guy can still play. I'm looking right through my list to see, and they're old. Yeah, they're almost all old. We'll see what happens to them.
Listen, if I had just a little bit of money, could I convince you to sign like 3 of the older pass rushers and say, listen, combined, we'll get 20 sacks out of those 3 guys. It might be 8, 6, and 6. But if I can do Clowney, if I can do Von Miller, if I can do, somebody else, I'm telling you, we'll get 20 sacks and we'll pay probably $20 million for those 20 sacks, which when you think about it, it's a bargain. You usually got to pay 35 or 40. So I'm just curious, could I talk someone into bringing in 3 veteran defensive linemen, situational pass rushers, and get my 20 sacks from the edge that way?
Well, the numbers say absolutely. And I'll give you the third guy, Joey Bosa. Bosa had 5 sacks. You can do the math here. There's 5 sacks. Well, you want to throw Cam Jordan in it?
Oh,
we're already up to 15 and a half.
Yeah, I'd probably go Jordan, Clowney, and, I don't know. And Vaughn. Or I might even try to get Calais Campbell at 39 and stash him inside, to be honest with you. But, yeah, okay, we're on the same page.
Well, the numbers say they already did it. And Von Miller had 9 sacks, and we see all these 8.5 for Clowney, 5.5. Yeah, absolutely you could do it. And then, figure out how to get them all on the field. And I don't think that's hard to do. You're going to need 2 meatheads to play first and second down so they can stand on the sideline and drink Gatorade till they're called upon. But yes, and I do think they would do it too.
It's the time of year for me where I start jumping into the mock drafts. And you look at 5 mock drafts and they all look different. How much are front offices starting their mock draft process, or are we still a few weeks away from that?
Yeah, still a few weeks for them. They're not going to do it like everybody else where there's 1 a week and all that business. They're going to do 1 or 2 of them. And the guys that I have listened to, talk to, or call me laughing, hey, I got to sign. This is what happens. They got to get the staff involved. So then they start having to, okay, you've got the Cardinals and the Steelers. And one guy will call me. He calls me every, he goes, yeah, these are my 2 teams. What's going on with that? But it is a calculated look at, first off, you look at your own draft board, and the draft boards aren't up yet, really. They're no way near solidified. We still got those foolish pro days, a lot of things going on. Medical rechecks have to happen, all that. But they're starting to create it, and they will have, not everyone does it, but most of them like to say, at least to me, that they do it because they need to have a view of what the league's going to do. And it kind of helps them determine if they're going to move up or down or stay where they are.
Pat Kerwin, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 6 during the season. He's part of CBS's NFL Today show. He joins us courtesy of Pinchers. Tampa to Key West, all points in between. Pinchers, where you can't fake fresh. More with Pat Kerwin on the other side. Pat and all our guests joining us on the American Paint Supplies Hotline.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie, John, and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512. American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
PTA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
How you feeling today, Mark?
I'm feeling good. I'm very nervous because I had an appointment with my whatever PA and it was changed to my doctor. I'm hoping that is just because, but when the doctor says he wants to see you, I didn't sleep well last night. So I'm a little panicked today.
All right. Well,
but there should be no reason to be because they were not supposed to get, I had a big test on Friday and it would be next to impossible for the results to be back this early.
Maybe he's going to tell you can go home.
That ain't happening. That ain't happening.
It's amazing, though, your energy level. You'd never know this on the radio.
No, I mean, I've been not working out. I've been walking every day. I walk 2.5, 3 miles a day. They said I can start lifting light weights and stuff, but I've still got this line in my chest and they were like, just be careful doing anything. I'm like, you know what? I can wait another 6 weeks until this damn thing comes out before I put any pressure on my body.
Yeah. There's no reason to pop the cord there.
Exactly.
And when you haven't done it for a while and you've been going through it, your new version of light weights is a little different than your old version of light weights.
100%. 100. But they even, because I was going to do bands and crap like that. And they said, just be careful because you've got that line. I'm like, you know what? I'll just stick to walking right now. That's good enough for me.
I'll define careful. I'm not doing it.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. No, I mean, the biggest problem right now is that I'm the cook in our house and my wife's here taking care of me. So she has to cook. And me being over her shoulder offering advice, I've learned is not something she enjoys. It hasn't stopped me from doing it, Pat, but she does not enjoy it.
Well, at least it's a symbol and sign that you're back to yourself. Hold on a second. Yes. I know, but I want you to do something for me. After you're done, can you stop by the bank here and order these checks? I'm out of checks completely.
Okay.
All right. Here's the check. That's the last
Do I need
one.
the whole box? I mean, just give that to me
Here.
so I have the whole
Okay.
number and everything.
All right. Have fun.
Yeah, thanks.
I know. I'm just being sarcastic.
Pat, I know you work till 6 now. You can sneak over to Lansdowne and get yourself a beer and some corned beef and cabbage after the show. You've got time.
No, this is a whole different world for me. And, it's, I didn't really anticipate how much I'd enjoy the hour.
Oh, I know I could have told you wouldn't have believed me, but man, oh man. Now, how often are they still running your show?
So we're still on a schedule. So it's 9 hours a day, not 12.
Okay.
It's interesting. It was there for 2 months every day, but it's now looks like it's 3 days a week back to back. They kind of like us. We have a live show after us, which is okay, but they like to put us on for the California drive time guys.
Gotcha.
So it's interesting how they're doing it, but all I know is at 6 o'clock, and I'm sure it'll wear off and it'll just be back to like, I got a show today. But for the first month, I can tell you at 6 o'clock, first off, I like watching certain news programs too. And they're on at 6 o'clock. It's just fun to get off.
Well, in May, June, and July, you're going to be like, oh, this is amazing.
Yeah. Well, that's when they started playing us 12 hours a day because we were breaking all those positions groups down. The other guys, every player was trying to take off and not do radio.
Well, and I do think those, I with your new guy, you need to continue that. I thought those are great off-season shows. They really are. I think your audience learns from that.
Yep. Well, and this kid is close enough to his playing days. We had Patrick Ricard on. I've been getting fullbacks on to keep.
Here we go.
He's hysterical, that guy.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Michael Fly, Florida State assistant coach. He's also the general manager of their program. He will join us in a little more than 15 minutes. Knowles played about a dozen games this year against NCAA tournament teams. We'll get a scouting report from Coach Fly about those teams coming up. But more with Pat Kerwin, NFL Radio, Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 6. He joins us courtesy of Pinchers. Listen, Andy's always taken flyers on guys. He's willing to take a chance with a volatile personality. It's one thing to go Michael Vick at quarterback. Vic was a proven guy. Vic took a team to an NFC championship game. At Justin Fields as the backup to Patrick Mahomes, this might be the riskiest quarterback move Andy Reid's ever made, isn't it?
By far. 4 teams in 4 years. Okay. Everyone gladly opens the door and waves goodbye to him. So, and you're asking this situation when he knows his quarterback is recovering from injury, which makes it a bigger job. When he convinced Foles to not quit and come to him in Philly and all that stuff, and it was all, he's done very good things, and he's always prioritized the backup quarterback. This one is full of risk, and if personally, I think by the end of the summer, they're going to realize he can't do it. And you'll see a different guy brought in there, even if it's Flacco or someone like that. But I don't think this is going to go. And I think Andy can make a decision before he has to play him in games. He's going to find out what I have witnessed. I've gone wherever he's been. I've gone to all the places, Chicago, Pittsburgh, the Jets. The Jet one, which would, by then he had his most experience, was the worst of them all. So I don't know. I'm not here to badmouth the kid, but you're asking me, can they win games with him? This is not the team that won the Super Bowls. They're in recovery mode. And this would be a terrible issue if he has to play.
Pat, we
Oh,
talked
boy.
to you a little bit about this last week, but I am curious because a few people, you've been a staunch defender of Todd Bowles. He comes on your show every week during the season. When there were people out there wanting him to be fired, you defended him. Now players are not taking on Bowles, but are kind of taking on the organization. When Mike Evans says, I've got a better shot to win in San Francisco, that's a shot without making one. That's a Hall of Famer. That's a Ring of Honor guy. Some other Bucks have said some things. With that being said, is there more pressure on Bowles early in the season, training camp, whenever it may be? I don't know if it's establishing a culture because I think they have a pretty decent culture. But, you know, they won early last year. So is there a difference this year for Bowles, or is it the same old, same old?
No, I think there is a difference. I think he's, walking the gangplank a little. And some thought, would you have been surprised, Mark, if they fired him last year?
No.
Right. So they didn't, which I'm tickled to death with. But I don't think it's he gets too many reprieves on that. I think he's probably up against it right now. And it leads me to a number of subjects, but the one that drives me nuts is when you let Mike Evans go, and that may not have been his call. I don't think it is his call, by the way. You think he was going to let Mike Evans go? No. So you got to ask yourself, and this goes for a lot of guys, Trey Hendrickson's gone, and the answer is Boy Mafe? I don't think so. Now, Evans is gone, and if you look at when they want to play 11 personnel, that means McMillan's on the field. And I don't want to hear, the other guys were on the team with Evans. So Evans isn't there. Who's the third guy coming out? It's McMillan. Those things are fallbacks. Kenneth Walker's not there. Emmanuel Wilson's going to play. We're just talking about Justin Fields might have to play. Charbonnet may not be ready. And this is going to happen at a lot of places.
Well, Pat, we asked the question rhetorically yesterday about right now best roster in the NFC South. And for most of this decade, that answer has been Tampa Bay. Maybe at the very beginning of the decade, it was New Orleans, and then it quickly became Tampa. And maybe a year ago at this time, Atlanta and Tampa were seen as close. I'm just curious, when you look at that division right now, New Orleans and Carolina have signed a lot of guys, a lot of turnover in both Atlanta and Tampa. Whose roster do you like right now?
Well, I don't like New Orleans, and it looks like they might lose Cam as much as they've lost Davis. Whether you think those guys are old, they were the glue. So not happy about that one. Not happy about the loss of Evans. Atlanta's kind of interesting to me if Penix is healthy or if Tua actually figures out how to play there. I don't know, but I like their offensive line. They've made that James Pierce situation is really a setback. And they're hiring as many guys who can. They're actually using your formula for let's get a bunch of pass rushers cheap and see what we can do with them. I'm the quarterback in Carolina is a problem for me if you're asking me to pick them to win the division. They just won it with an 8-win record. I get it. I don't know. I think the whole thing's up for grabs, and I think 9 or 10 wins will win it again.
Yeah, I think 8 could, Pat, just because I happen to already look at the crossovers that they play, and they're playing both Norths, the NFC and AFC. I mean, 8 and 9 could do that again. I think someone will get to 9, but 10 in that division seems like a bit of a long shot. Pat, there are a lot of people that think A.J. Brown has played his last game for the Eagles. I don't know if you're one of them, but do you see him getting moved before the draft?
I don't know why I'd move him before the draft. I think I'd move him after I secured a receiver in the draft. And it could be a deal that, and in my mind, it could happen during the first round. It could happen in the overnight before the second round. I think, go look. They've been pretty conservative so far. If you look at how much how little they've done in free agency. Bunch of re-signs, not much else than that. Minnesota's kind of like them. Certainly Seattle's like them. But someone who needs a big-time receiver, we all think New England still should be a candidate for that. I don't care what he wrote in his notebook about Vrabel. That actually is funny to me. But yeah, I think he's a tradable commodity, but I think Howie likes to know what he's got first. So we'll see if it goes that way. That'd be my guess. It'd be a draft day trade.
Quickly, Pat, who's working the phones more right now? GMs calling agents or agents calling GMs?
Agents. This is now a buyer's market. Let me go through some of that right here.
Got about a minute.
This will take 10 seconds. We've already signed 200 one-year deals. Okay, 200 of them, including re-signs. So what does that tell me? It tells me that the flood of there's only, and you'd be amazed, well, you guys, you follow this all the time, but how about this? 13 4-year deals, 13. That's all of the free agency could generate, 63-year deals. But 200, actually it's 201 now. So it's a buyer's market. We just talked about all the guys that are still left and available. The agents are calling, trying to get their guy a deal before the player fires the agent. If you're at home right now and you don't have a deal and you see guys getting signed that you think you're better than, it's time to blame your agent, whether he's right or wrong. And I don't blame the agents, but players fire agents all the time. My friend down in Miami could have 10 new clients by next week.
Oh, and he's the deal maker, Mr. Rosenhaus. He's Pat Kerwin, NFL Radio's Moving the Chains, weekdays 3 to 6. He joins us twice a week for most of the year. Pat will be back on Thursday. He's got some stuff going on this week. Pat will be back on Thursday. Pat Kerwin joining us here, courtesy of Pinchers on Miller and Moulton. We'll switch gears. We'll talk the madness. Get a scouting report from Michael Fly on about a dozen teams in the tournament. That's next on Miller and Moulton.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Canada Relief, if I were Seattle, I would approach Oklahoma City and the NBA about getting the Supersonics back.
Michael's ready to go.
Great.
We got about 15 seconds. I hope Mark's computer will auto fire. With the rejoin.
Yeah, I don't think it will. Well,
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till the top of the hour. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. We just talked a lot of football. Now can we talk some hoops? The madness gets underway tonight. The first four in Dayton. Pair of 16 seeds go at it early. Texas and NC State go at it late. Michael Fly, top assistant on the Florida State staff. He's also general manager of the program, so he helps bring in the players. Obviously, they're not in the tournament. He's got some time. We called them up. We said, hey, could you give us a scout on some of the teams in the tournament? You played like a dozen of them. So Coach Fly joins us now. Michael, it's David and Mark. How you been?
Good morning, fellas. It's been a while. How are you?
We're good.
Michael, thanks for doing this. Really appreciate it. But as David mentioned, you've played a bunch of tournament teams. And let's start with, the big boys. Duke, when you look at this team and now a couple of players are gone, how different is this lineup? And are they more vulnerable now than they were? Well, obviously, they're more vulnerable, but how much more vulnerable are they than they were just a month ago?
Yeah, well, obviously, good for them. They still got Boozer. When you look at their stat line and just about every stat, he's at the top of it. He's a handful, as you guys know. They are more vulnerable. I mean, we played them twice this year. We were fortunate to play them close in both games, but we really thought we had those guys last week in Charlotte based on the fact that they were missing some guys. And even in our game, and he's a good player, but we actually didn't guard Caden Boozer. We just backed up and kind of dared him to shoot threes. I think he went 0 for 5 in that game. If they were fully healthy, we wouldn't be able to do that. Now, don't get me wrong. They've still got, they've still got Big Boozer. They've still got Evans. They still got plenty of firepower, but they're not the same team with the injuries as they were when they were fully healthy. That's for sure.
You split with Miami. You played them early. You played them late. Your thoughts on the Canes?
Yeah, I think Coach Lucas and those guys did a really nice job of building their team kind of around a big three, with Malik Renew and Trey Donaldson and the big kid, Ernest Uday. I mean, it's really they're all different players, but, they're really well balanced. You've got Donaldson running the point and really a true point guard that can score. Malik Renew is one of the better scorers and rebounders on the interior. And then big Ernest Uday's blocking shots and patrolling the paint. And they're a really physical team. I mean, if you look at Miami, even Shelton Henderson, they're big, they're strong, they're kind of old school smash mouth basketball. So they can struggle at times in an up and down game. It's super high scoring, but you're going to feel the bruises when you play Miami. And I think they've done a really nice job of building a well-balanced roster.
A lot of people like South Florida against this Louisville team. Louisville's a team that shoots the three ball a lot. If they go cold, obviously you got a chance. I saw South Florida and Wichita State. They took their top 3-point shooter out of the game for most of the first half. They play really strong defense. How do you beat Louisville?
Louisville's one of the few, if not only, ACC teams we did not play this year. They were not on the schedule. I know that team, a bit from some of the players. Obviously, they're they're missing a bigger piece without Mikal Brown Jr., but that's one we just didn't see face-to-face, didn't see eye-to-eye. But again, I'm not sure they're the same team as they were without Mikal Brown.
Clemson, you guys beat them at their place. Your thoughts on the Tigers?
Yeah, Clemson, it's funny. They're kind of the opposite of the Dukes, of the even Miamis that we talked about in terms of the way that their roster's built. I mean, if you look at their team, their leading scorer, RJ Godfrey, I think he averages about 12 points a game. And Coach Burnell's been there a long time. They're very much system-based. So unlike the Dukes and the Miamis and some of the guys at the top of the scout, there's no way to really say, okay, we're going to take Godfrey out against Clemson and then you beat them, because they're so well balanced. They're what I would call a system team. So you really have to stop the system. They're going to really defend you. They're going to try to control tempo. They start size, but they'll lull you to sleep a little bit if you're not careful. So I think, in the tournament, as you know, so much of it is matchup based. They're not going to be an easy out, because when you haven't played a team and you haven't seen them and watched them a ton, it's tough sometimes when you can't tell your guys, all right, guys, we just got to stop this one or two guys. So they've got a chance to beat some people, I think, just based on, what a good coach he is. And again, it's system-based versus player-based.
Virginia they're kind of an enigma to me. And I know they're better than I think they are, because they had 29 wins. But when they played you guys, they won by, I think, 3. They won so many of those close games. Is that to you a sign of a really good team, or a sign of a team that's one of those 3 seeds that maybe gets through the first round, but they're expected to play Tennessee in the second round? If they got bounced early, would you be surprised?
Yeah, well, I think part of that is obviously Coach Odom is on, I think, his 3rd or 4th Division I job at this point. Has had some success, obviously, in the tournament at different places. So I think it helps when you've got a head coach that kind of has been through it and also been through it. I mean, I know you guys know this, but when he was at UMBC, he knows what it looks like better than anybody to be upset by a lower seed. So I think that'll help those guys. But they've got a interesting style in that, they're not pressing as much as when he was at VCU, but they'll still pick you up in the full court. And the kid DeRitter is really a handful. But if you're able to take him out of the game, I mean, I think he's at like 15 or 16 points a game and 6 rebounds. You got a chance to beat those guys.
North Carolina. We talked about Duke, and obviously they're a little banged up. Louisville, a little banged up. North Carolina, big injury. Your thoughts on the Tar Heels in the tournament? And you mentioned VCU. Yeah. That's who they have. That's an interesting 6-11 game for North Carolina.
Yeah, that was a huge loss. I mean, when we played those guys, Caleb Wilson, sometimes you watch guys on film and you say, man, he's really talented. And obviously he's, projected top 5 pick and all that. But we joked about it as a staff, and this will sound like hyperbole, but when we played those guys in person, we joked with the guys, was Kevin Garnett running around on the court tonight? I mean, he was so special in person athletically, and the length and the size. So we haven't played them since he went down, but obviously, you look at the numbers. They've got the big kid, Vassar and Trimble. My thought would be, if you're playing those guys, you want to try to just take one of those 2 completely out of the game. But yeah, Caleb Wilson is such a special talent. There's no way that they're the same group as they were before he goes down.
You faced the Gators earlier in the season. They found themselves since then. But then in the SEC tournament, they didn't play great against Kentucky, and then they get whacked by Vanderbilt. As a coach, is that, I don't know if advantage is the right word, but, I always had a hockey coach that said winning masks your problem, losing identifies them. So to lose to Vanderbilt when they did, how many problems are identified before the biggest time of the year and the Gators trying to repeat?
Yeah, it's interesting, especially with a team that's had that much success, and as a coach, this is why you're up at night, and I joke with coaches, you develop skin rashes and lose your hair, which I know from experience. But when you go into March, you never know, is it quote unquote a good thing to kind of refocus? And not that you ever want to lose, but they're in the midst of a 2-year run trying to go back to back we may look back and go, oh man, the Vandy game was a game that reset them and refocused them. To your point, it may be something, coming apart at the seams a little bit. Obviously, they're a much different team than when we played those guys. We found a lot of success in really bothering their guards, picking them up in the full court, especially the kid from Princeton, Lee. They struggled against the press. Their bigs were outstanding, but we were able to take their guards away in that game. I think they beat us by 2. So it'll be interesting going in. I really think that could go either way. And as you guys know, the pressure of can you do it again? That's a real thing. And obviously it was a long time ago that they were able to go back-to-back in Gainesville. But I think those names are still in the rafters. You still see this stuff on social media. So it'll be really interesting to track those guys and see which way that goes.
It'll help the Gators the first weekend. They're in Tampa. However, the 2 seed in their region is Houston. And do you know where the second weekend is? In Houston. Not often a 1 seed could play a road game in the region final, but we're a long ways away from that. Michael Fly, all right, an assistant with Florida State. He's also general manager of the program. You can follow Coach Fly on X at Michael_Fly, Michael_Fly. We'll see him tomorrow night. Your former boss, Andy Enfield, he's got SMU in the tournament. They struggled mightily down the stretch. You guys whacked them pretty good. Final week of the ACC regular season. Interesting matchup. It's SMU and Miami of Ohio. What does SMU bring to the table?
Yeah, well, obviously I know Coach Enfield well, and Travis and I have gotten to know each other pretty well over the years too. So 2 really good coaches. SMU's built a little bit like Miami in terms of kind of a big 3. Boofy Miller's fantastic as a scorer. He's averaging about 19 a game. Jerron Pierre Jr., when we played those guys in Texas, and we beat him in Tallahassee, but he was terrific. I think he had like 29 against us. They've got a big 7-footer that can really rebound the ball. I don't know if BJ Edwards is back or if he's still out. When he was healthy and playing well, they were really good. I don't think it's any coincidence that they kind of stumbled a little bit down the stretch when BJ got hurt. So I think that'll be a big part of that. And then Miami obviously is going out trying to prove to everybody that they did deserve to be in the tournament, and they're not just a quote unquote, low to mid major. So that should be an interesting one. But SMU is tough when they're firing on all cylinders. I just don't know if DJ Edwards is healthy or not.
I don't know if asking you about teams that you played in like the first 3-4 weeks of the season is even relevant now, but you guys did play Houston tough. Georgia whacked you. You played A&M. Take Houston aside, Georgia or A&M. Okay, which one of those do you go, you know what, they're sneaky good?
Yeah, both of those teams unfortunately whacked us at that point in the year. And Houston's Houston, but I really felt like playing against Georgia, the size on the interior with the big kid, I'm blanking on his name, Cecil, I think his name is, he blocks everything on the interior. They've got great positional size. They've got guard play. Blue Kane can really shoot the ball. Obviously, Coach White's no stranger to this time of year. So I would not be surprised if Georgia snuck up on a team or 2 just based on the way that team's built from top to bottom, the versatility. I think they've got really good pieces at different spots. But the big hit on the interior from a shot blocking standpoint, when you watch the film, our guys were scared to death to go in there, and we had some guys that could really finish at the rim. So I think it'll be interesting to watch what kind of noise those guys can make.
I know when the tournament's over, your work will really begin. But from a retention standpoint, how different is it now? Help us out as best we can of what goes on with your own roster here since the end of the game against Duke and now.
Yeah, it's such a different time in college basketball, as you guys know, because you don't want to hit reset every year if you can help it. It's not great for a coaching staff, your fan base. I hear that from our fans constantly. How many of these guys can we bring back? We don't want to learn a new roster every year. This is where, my role, the general manager role, which is quickly developing and needed, I think, across college basketball now. You're trying to weigh bringing guys back versus the market. And by that, I mean, you can really want a guy back and really value them in your locker room. But that doesn't mean that you can overpay. Your budget's your budget. We're now in a salary, cap to speak of era, which is another conversation. But whatever your roster budget, it is what it is. You want to bring back guys if you can, the right guys. That you will value guys a little differently that know your culture, know your system, but you still can't overpay to bring a guy back that's not good enough. So you're constantly juggling, with the player's agent, with their camp. Hey, we want to bring you back, but it's got to be at the right number. And here's the market value based on the way that you played. Now, maybe we value a little more than the market value from other teams, but we still can't bring you back at a number that now we can't put the right pieces around you. So it's an interesting time to be in college basketball, but what do they say? You adapt or die, right? So we're all adapting.
Michael Fly, assistant coach and general manager, Florida State basketball, giving us a scouting report on a whole bunch of teams that the Noles played during their 18-win season. Follow Coach Fly on X at Michael_Fly, Michael_Fly. Listen, safe travels, all the best to Heather and the boys and girls, and we'll talk soon.
All right, fellas, thanks for having me. Hopefully this time next year we're talking about the Noles and the big dance.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend. The Legend of Takori, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to CapeCops.com. CapeCops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Mr. Spivey, we have not gotten into the Titans' new unis, although
Love
I
'em.
liked them.
Love them. I almost asked, how many Miami of Ohio players have you talked to?
You're listening to Miller and Moulton, coming at you from the Floor Meister Studios. Floor Meisters, keeping it real. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
Final hour of Miller and Moulton, the Diamond District bonus hour in Jacksonville and Tampa, St. Pete. Thanks so much for being with us. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. So, biggest thing about today, St. Patrick's Day. First four getting the tournament underway. Barkley and Vital doing the late game, if anybody cares. Or the World Baseball Classic tonight, 8 o'clock on Big Fox. What interests you the most today? And today is St. Patrick's Day. What about it are you going to partake in? Maybe a little beer, a little whiskey, a little corned beef, or just wear something green. I'll play the role. That Mark Miller, the David Moulton, Miller_Moulton on X.
Big test today. Big test at the Hope Lodge. The wife has to cook corned beef and cabbage with me over her shoulder. This could go one of two ways.
Are you a hoverer?
She told me the other day that she does not like my help in the kitchen. And I just kept helping and acted like she wasn't speaking.
Wow.
She doesn't have a choice. Doesn't have a choice.
Well, but
I've been doing this our entire relationship.
I know, but
she
you
cooked
like it.
for me once.
Right.
Once.
Right.
You know, this is like Piscopo and Johnny Dangerously. My mother hung me from a hook once.
I got it.
So,
but you could
and
really
she cooked for me before I cooked for her, David.
Right. Right. And then you patted her on the head and you said, this is cute. Okay. But I like to cook. I'll take it from here. But it could affect morale. That's all I'm saying. I mean, you know.
You know what? I ship these caregivers out every week. If morale's bad, she's gone on Saturday. You know what? It is what it is. I got a new one coming in. End of the week. They only can handle me for 5 days at a time, max.
I'm sure they're wanting it to be more like 3.5, especially now that you're getting to this point in the process. Yes.
They do a wonderful job with breakfast, though. I mean, I will say she knows exactly how much to toast my English muffin and or my bagel.
Well,
perfection every morning. And I'm not joking.
I
And it
told
seems
you,
easy.
I told you 2 weeks ago, she really loves you. And this is how I can tell. All right. This may not, do anything for you, but she put first off on an English muffin. She didn't go the easy way out. Would have been really easy to do toast or a bagel. She went English muffin. That's thumbs up. Secondly, butter and then the jelly on top of the butter. That's a woman that loves you right there.
No,
Right,
there's no doubt. There's no doubt. And David, the English muffin to toast is an art form. It is. Because
Yes.
I've never found a toaster in the world that you can just toast an English muffin once and it's enough. I don't care if it's a toaster. I don't care, if you're at a hotel and they've got those conveyor belt type toasters,
Right.
which suck, by the way, because you sometimes have to put those things in there 17 times before the thing to get done.
Yes, you do.
So it doesn't matter. You can't just, a lightly toasted English muffin is just not good.
Nope.
In order
Nope.
for a perfect English muffin, you need it toasted enough so that the butter can equally disperse in every crevice of that muffin.
Correct. And yet at the same time, all right, you don't want to burn it. So yes, it's a skill. It's a skill. But I equated what she did for you a couple of weeks ago with A, the muffin, B, the butter, and then the jelly on top of it. That's like when my wife offers me like Tic Tacs, and when she gives me more than one, I go, ooh, my stock's pretty good. Wow, she really loves me today. If I just get the obligatory boom, here's one Tic Tac, it's kind of like I'm just doing it so that you don't smell. Okay, thanks.
And David, the Irish Catholic of the two of us on the show, I don't know if this makes him happy or upset, because what do you have more interest in is one of our poll questions. St. Patrick's Day, the World Baseball Classic, or the first four? This is a question that I don't even know how you take this question, David, because you love St. Patrick's Day. It's coming in last.
I knew it would.
But you're a baseball guy.
Mm-hmm.
And the World Baseball Classic getting nearly 55% of the vote.
There we go, baby. USA, Venezuela tonight.
I would have probably voted St. Patrick's Day if I wasn't somewhere where I couldn't enjoy an adult beverage, but I can't. And I don't know, actually, they've told me I ain't drinking for a while with what I've had going on. So I voted World Baseball Classic, mainly because the first four doesn't have a game that I'm interested in. Texas and NC State does nothing for me. Texas, a 1.5 favorite in the game for those of you that want to gamble. Tomorrow, Miami of Ohio, I'm in. I'm actually into that game because I really want them to win. And they understand the pressure that they have on them as a low to mid-major. They get it. They've already talked about it. Their head coach has addressed it to the media. We know it's we're playing for more than just us, while he did talk about his entire team being tampered with.
Right. I will say the whole arena is going to be rooting for him, though. They're going to be playing a home game.
Oh, yeah. I mean, what's Dayton from Miami? Is not very far. I mean,
no.
Tops.
And I think that arena holds like low double digits. Like it's either high 9,000s or I think it's in the 10, 11 range. I mean, and it's loud. And the whole arena is going to be from Miami of Ohio. So they'll be playing a home game basically tomorrow. In the chat room, it says it's 13-5. It was big to me, okay, when, the one time I was there doing games. The bleachers went up very high. But, we shall say,
literally an hour away, 41 miles away from the university to Dayton. So you're right.
Packed.
This is going to be a home game.
Yes, absolutely packed. Probably more fans at this game than's been in any other, because I think their home arena is just a few thousand. But, Mark, as for the World Baseball Classic tonight, I'm glad Venezuela won, because I think there would have been more and there will be more Venezuela fans in attendance tonight than there would have been Team Italy fans.
Oh, absolutely.
And so the raucous atmosphere, everything that you and I talk about wanting as to why we want to go to a World Cup match and we don't want to go to a USA World Cup match, right? A buddy of ours was at the U.S. semifinal against the Dominican Republic. And I asked him, I said, crowd? He goes, well, besides the fact it was standing room only at Lone Depot, he goes 4-1 Dominican. I expect it to be at least 3-1 tonight, Venezuela. It'll be raucous. And some people don't like that for baseball. Okay, they don't. I mean, you think that they pose in college when they hit homers? Holy blank in the World Baseball Classic. But so I love it. All right. Arguably biggest sporting event in Venezuela's sporting history tonight, because they've never been in a World Cup, right?
Right.
That's the info we got. They've never been in a World Cup. And to take on the big bad America in America for the World Baseball Classic, Venezuela's never been in the final before.
By the way, it's not cheap to get into Lone Depot Park tonight, but it's not outrageous. I mean, to see what will be, I think, a great spectacle. I don't know how good the baseball game is going to be. I hope it's great.
Right.
But I'm with you. This is going to be World Cup-esque type atmosphere. You can get in for $400 a ticket. Like, I don't think that that's outrageous.
Okay. And that's more expensive than at this time on Sunday when it was 8, 10, 12 hours before the semifinal, USA and the Dominican. There were seats around 270. Now, there weren't a ton at two different sections, and then there were some stuff in the threes, but it was pretty damn expensive. So the final's going for $4 right now.
Cheapest seats.
Okay.
Cheapest seats. You know, I mean, again, I'm not saying that's cheap.
Right.
But I'm saying that if you're a baseball junkie, and like Guillermo, our fan with dual citizenship of Venezuela and U.S. citizenship.
Right.
He's a lawyer. He can afford that.
Yeah, he can.
I mean, he's just got to bill somebody an hour that he's not really working, and that's taken care of.
He said, though, that this is the first time in his life that he's torn. Okay, because he's a proud American. All right. And he's never not rooted for Team USA in a sporting event. But this is his home country. And he goes, wow, I am really torn. And he said, I don't know. I'll probably know in the first inning, I guess, how I'm going to react. But here's what I'm hoping for. First off, that the Team USA starter, Nolan McLean, young kid, has made 8 starts with the Mets last year. That's it. Hope he, doesn't throw batting practice. I hope it's a game. For Team USA to win, I think they have an advantage in this sense. If McLean can pitch into the 5th and they're within a run, I would like to think it's edge USA. Venezuela, first off, Team USA played Sunday. Venezuela had to play last night. So like some of the relievers that we worked and we used Sunday, they're probably available tonight because it's the championship game. But I mean, if you're Venezuela, their bullpen had to get 23 outs yesterday. And they were losing most of the time. These was high pressure situations for their bullpen. You would like to think, Mark, that the United States has an edge in the second half of this game, that Venezuela's bullpen should be a little thin.
Well, and if it's like the semifinal game, every call will go the U.S. way. It can be 7, 8 inches off the plate, and it's a strike for Venezuela. We'll see if it is for Team USA because they got the calls in the semi. There's no doubt. It's the Diamond District Bonus Hour. Miller and Moulton. MillerandMoulton.com.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Takori's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend, the Legend of Takori, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Espanol.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer, so if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at PelicanRoofingCompany.com. CCC 1332512.
This is Miller and Moulton.
You've never been lower on the WBC, PJ? Why? I am curious. About 380 a gallon, Canada Relief. At least that's what I've seen.
Welcome back to Miller and Moulton. Text the guys what's in your mind at 21,000. That's 21000. And now, here's David Moulton.
21 minutes past the hour. Good, bad, and ugly. What's on tap? Today was the day when. Some final thoughts. A pick or two. Coming up in a little more than 15 minutes time. If you missed Pat Kerwin and Michael Fly talking NFL and brackets last hour, well, go to millermoulton.com. By lunch, it'll all be posted. If you ever miss anything on the show, and download what you missed.
David, this is a little off sports, but I didn't want to save it for the good, bad, and ugly. I thought it was worthy of at least a couple more seconds. Did you see the bill that failed to pass yesterday in the state of Florida?
I don't know of which you speak.
Okay. Well, I'll say this first. When people think of, backwards places, or I'm married to my cousin, West Virginia comes to mind. And Florida had a bill against marrying your first cousin, and it failed. Florida is apparently one of 18 states where you can marry your first cousin. For the record, West Virginia banned the practice over 70 years ago.
I want to hear one of the speakers who wanted to keep what we currently have on the books still on the books.
I don't understand.
Huh.
I'm right there with you. Now, unfortunately, the list is not in this article, because I did look and I didn't spend that much time. I was really trying to chase down, UConn winning 14 straight against the number. It's more important to me.
Right.
But the fact that there are 18 states in the United States where you can legally marry your first cousin seems like a bit of a problem. Now, sure, it cuts down on the number of guests at the wedding. It decreases the chance of the awkward table where people don't know one another. But outside of that, I don't see a lot of benefits. Well, he's my grandpa. No, he's my grandpa. I mean, what the hell?
Jeez. Yeah, I'm wow. I'm a little surprised at that one. How in 2026 is that legal? So I was a bit confused by it. And like I said, I just thought it needed more than the 30 seconds that a story gets in the good, the bad, and the ugly. Maybe it should have stayed there. So I don't know. But, we're not in a Middle Eastern country with arranged marriages. This seems like something that should be stopped. Just saying. That's all I got, David. It seems outdated. It certainly does. But wow. Okay. Once again, I would like to just get someone on the record who was okay with the status quo. Just why? I'll hang up and listen.
That's all.
Yeah.
That's all. That's
gotcha. Yeah.
Not getting deep into the political world, just that one that, I think I think you would think that's one that both sides of the aisle could agree upon. I understand they can't agree on a damn thing. I get it. That's the world we live in.
But in this state, it only takes one side of the aisle to decide how the vote's going to go. So they got the votes and then some. So, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm just as curious if folks on the other side of the aisle voted a certain way, but yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there you have it.
All right.
There, didn't mean to derail you late in the show, and I want to thank Johnny for giving us the list. It's Alabama. See, there's no surprise there. California, Connecticut, the District of Columbia, Florida, Georgia, Hawaii, Maryland, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, Rhode Island, South Carolina, Tennessee, and Vermont.
Wow. Wow.
So there's your list of states where cousins can marry. Florida's still one of them because they did not pass a bill ending that. Seems like it was seems like a layup as we get ready for the first four tonight, David.
I'm very surprised. Very surprised. Just like I'll be surprised if a top 4 seed goes down in the first round. I'm going through potential upsets, and it's tough for me to find, a top 4 seed going down in the first round. And I know in recent tournaments, we've had 15 seeds cause major damage. 13s and 14s win games. I don't know.
For the record, Jason Carmelo, who was on the show yesterday, gave us his upsets in each bracket. He said he likes Troy's chances against 4-seeded Nebraska.
Yeah, this is the only time I have ever passionately rooted for a 4 seed to beat a 13. Come on. Nebraska's never, ever, ever won an NCAA tournament game. Come on now. That has to end, doesn't it? I mean, they could lose in the second round. I don't know who they have. I think it's a tough matchup, isn't it? Vandy?
Normally,
potential
David.
4-5?
Yes, it is Vandy. Normally, David, I would be rooting against Nebraska. You know me. I love this stuff.
Yep.
But over the past few years, I've developed a good relationship, damn near a friendship with a guy who is a diehard Nebraska fan. And because of that, his boys all are too. And they're all young. And so they're going to get to see something that no Nebraska fan has ever seen. And they root for all things Nebraska. It doesn't matter the damn sport.
Right.
So for he and they, I'm rooting for Nebraska. This is the sign I'm getting soft as a sports fan, because normally I wouldn't give a damn. I'd want him to lose so I could text him as it was happening.
No, come on. This is a fan base. They're going through a lot. I mean, their football team, we're going up on, they've played one really big game in the last 20 years. They had that Big 12 title game in 2009 when they nearly derailed Texas's season. And Ndamukong Suh almost single-handedly beat Texas in the Big 12 title game. Yes, that's right. Nebraska was in the Big 12. Remember those days? I digress.
So, what is it, volleyball that they're most proud of now for crying out loud? I mean, that's their best sport, and it's not close.
100,000 people showing up for volleyball, right? Great. It's fantastic.
I mean, it's like wrestling in Iowa for crying out loud.
By the way, hats off to Duke. Won the ACC in football, men's basketball, and women's basketball. Give it up to them. That's pretty impressive. You can think whatever you want about a conference, up, down, sideways, as strong, not as strong as they've been in the past. I mean, that's pretty impressive.
This is like Northwestern or Vanderbilt pulling off the same thing in the SEC or in the Big Ten.
Yeah.
Small, private, hard to get into school.
Yeah.
Athletes still kind of have to go to classes at these places.
Mm-hmm. Now, they're being really well paid to still have to go to classes,
and they get the best tutors, but they're still having to attend class.
Right. So good for them.
So Final Four tonight, or first four tonight, rather.
Yep.
World Baseball Classic tonight. A little bit of hockey, a little bit of NBA, but the tournament starts. I know for most of you, it doesn't start until Thursday, but it gets underway tonight. World Baseball Classic, USA in Venezuela.
USA.
Will be outnumbered 4-1 by Venezuelan fans in Miami tonight.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeister's prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net. Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
The Cape Coral Police Department is growing and they want you to be a part of it. They're hiring new officers. Starting pay is between $74,000 and $90,000 depending on your experience. And with a $10,000 hiring bonus, you could be making $100,000. Enjoy paid holidays, off-duty details, plenty of OT opportunities. They're also hiring dispatchers and professional staff. So go to capecops.com. capecops.com. Be brave, be best, be Cape.
This is Miller and Moulton.
So, did you go to bed before 4 a.m., Guillermo, or have you not been asleep yet? That's what I want to know. And are you in Miami yet? Good for you, man. Good for you to be that excited about sports. It's hard to do when you get a little bit older, so I'm fired up for you. That's awesome. Oh, man. By the way, sweetie, that one back there is available, the top one.
Oh.
And you can always unplug that too. Yeah, because the $400 ticket, I mean, expensive, but not outrageous, if you know what I mean. You could all be in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan, where in Marquette, it snowed 36 inches in the last 2 days.
You're listening to Miller and Moulton. And now, here's Mark Miller and David Moulton.
22 minutes till we're done. That's it. Miller and Moulton, millerandmoulton.com, Miller_Moulton on X. It's St. Patrick's Day. Hope you get out and enjoy it. We asked you what way are you going to celebrate St. Patrick's Day today? Little beer. Maybe go a little hard stuff, a little Irish whiskey. How about some corned beef, cabbage, or I'll just put on something green. And
I
then
voted corned beef and cabbage, but I probably won't do the cabbage. I'll leave that for the wife. I'll do the corned beef and the potatoes and the carrots. She can have the cabbage.
That's enough. That qualifies. At least I think so. And then tonight, biggest thing going on today, I should say. St. Patrick's Day, first four, tournament getting underway. Barkley and Dick Vitale with the broadcast on True TV tonight. Texas and NC State. Or the World Baseball Classic. USA and Venezuela for the championship.
It's that time again, nearing the end, but not quite there yet. Here's Mark Miller with Today Was the Day When.
We start early today. In the year 432, that's when St. Patrick, aged about 16, is captured by Irish pirates from his home in Great Britain and taken as a slave to Ireland. 1600, the first recorded St. Patrick's Day celebration in America, held in St. Augustine in Spanish Florida, with the first parade taking place in the same location in 1601, organized by Catholic Irish vicar Ricardo Arthur. 1737, the Charitable Irish Society of Boston organizes the first observance of St. Patrick's Day in the 13 colonies. New York would jump on board 19 years later at the Crown and Thistle Tavern. It would be 6 years later that the first parade, 1762, was held in New York City. All right, enough of this St. Patrick's Day crap. The Spinners would have never had the great song had it not been for Stephen Perry of London, who patented the rubber band today in 1845. Come on, you want to listen to Rubber Band Man now.
Totally.
And then get down. 1898, John Philip Holland achieves a successful run for the first modern submarine off of Staten Island, submerging for 1 hour and 40 minutes. 1905, Einstein finishes scientific paper detailing his quantum theory of light, the foundation of modern physics. Today in 55, we mentioned yesterday, Rocket Richard suspended. It was today that he would go on the radio and ask citizens to stop vandalizing the city. 37 people injured, over 100 arrested because Rocket Richard was suspended for the remainder of the season. Highest scoring NCAA tournament game today in 88. Loyola Marymount 119, Wyoming 115. Today in 92, white South Africans vote overwhelmingly to end minority rule by a margin of 68.7%, ending apartheid. 2003, and David, I don't know if you remember this because I don't think you were a big MTV viewer at this point in your life, but you may have seen this. The very first episode of MTV's practical joke show, Punk'd. The host was Ashton Kutcher. The prank was on Justin Timberlake. They made him cry. They had fake IRS people, told him that he was going to jail for evading taxes. He called his mother on the phone and was in tears. That'll get a show started.
It sure will.
And it was 2 years ago that Scotty Scheffler becomes the first to win back-to-back players, beating Wyndham Clark, Xander Schauffele, and Brian Harmon each by one shot. Bobby Jones, Sammy Baugh, and Nat King Cole would have all celebrated birthdays today. Kurt Russell, 75. Do love the Mick Ultra curling commercial. I must admit, that's solid. Gary Sinise, 71. Danny Ainge, 67. Sam Bowie is 65. Rob Lowe, 62. Billy Corgan from Smashing Pumpkins is 59. And Olympic great Katie Ledecky is 29 years old today. What did I miss, David?
Golda Meir elected Israel's first female prime minister today in 69. I believe she's still their only female prime minister. So had the gig for about 5 years, resigned because she said, I'm old. I'm old. I'm tired. Give somebody else the job. So
I'm sure there's people wanting them to give someone else the job right now.
Well,
then there's that.
Time to see life a little bit differently. Here's Mark Miller with the good, the bad, and the ugly. What you got, Mark?
This story is unbelievable, and it's very good. A gentleman sent his daughter a Starbucks, and the ex-wife, who normally never looks at her Ring doorbell camera, happened to check it out. And it turned out it was an old man delivering the DoorDash. And she went and found him and gave him a $200 tip. She thought that was enough, but several people reached out to her because she posted it on social media. And the man continued to work. He had been retired from the insurance business for over 13 years, but had to go back to delivering DoorDash because his wife lost her job and he needed to help support the family. He could barely get up the stairs when he was delivering the DoorDash. She started a GoFundMe. People jumped on board. They raised over $1 million for the man. He doesn't have to deliver food anymore.
Wow.
Yes. For the bad, we go to Gwinnett County, Florida, where Garrett Thompson was arrested earlier this month. He apparently contacted, the victim was coerced into paying $1,350 to avoid them not reporting for jury duty. The problem was that Garrett Thompson was not a police officer and he was not in position to ask for money. Fortunately, they were able to track him down via his phone and he was arrested. And finally, the ugly, a Colorado woman was arrested after her funeral home was charging people for funeral services and doing nothing with the bodies. Bodies were stacked up in the funeral home.
Whoa.
She was filling urns with concrete mix and telling people that their loved ones had been cremated. She scammed people out of over $300,000, scammed the government from pandemic days even out of more money. She was arrested. And that is the good, the bad, and the ugly on today, March the 17th. 2026, and it's brought to you by the Cape Coral Police Department, hiring new officers, offering great pay, signing bonuses, benefits, overtime, other jobs available. So for you folks in Jacksonville and Tampa looking for a police job in Cape Coral, CapeCops.com, CapeCops.com.
All right, this is it. It ends tonight. The World Baseball Classic, 8 o'clock on Big Fox. Venezuela and the U.S. Lefty Eduardo Rodriguez against righty Nolan McLean. who's a 24-year-old glorified rookie in the Mets system. He's made 8 starts last year. I mean, highly thought of prospect. Had like a 2.5 ERA in those starts. I mean, good looking young pitcher, but it's a pretty big spot. World Baseball Classic championship game. We'll see how he handles it. 8 o'clock, Big Fox game in Miami. Tickets going for a minimum of $400 online right now. Our friend Guillermo looked into it, he said. But between the airfare and the tickets and, it's a
And
little
not
much
being
for
able to
him.
overcharge customers, he's screwed.
Right. First 4 tonight in Dayton on True TV. 6:40, the battle of 16 seeds, UMBC and Howard. UMBC, they, of course, became the second 16 to ever win a game when they beat, they were the first when they beat Virginia. FDU became the second when they beat Purdue. UMBC, a 1.5-point favorite tonight. Winner of UMBC Howard gets Michigan. The late game,
Retrievers, David, the Retrievers of UMBC. Love the
Gotcha.
name. Anytime you can put a golden retriever as your mascot, I'm a fan.
I agree with that. 9:15 or thereabouts tonight. Probably be a little later. Texas and NC State. Texas now 1.5-point favorite. The highlight of this one, Dick Vitale and Charles Barkley on the call of the game. And Dickie V hasn't been able to do an NCAA tournament game for 35 years because ESPN didn't have the rights to him. But his career nearing an end, Turner and CBS made a phone call. He said, okay, Barkley wants to be a part of it. Curious whether it'll be a interesting, entertaining broadcast or it'll be nauseating. We'll see. 9 NHL games tonight. Panthers on the road in Vancouver. Lightning on the road in Seattle. They're the late game, the 10 o'clock game on TNT. The early game is the Wild and the Blackhawks. Wild and Scufflin.
Lightning have a 4-game road trip here out west. 3 of the teams they're clearly better than. They've been scuffling. To me, they've got to go 3-1, 2-1-1 on this trip at worst.
Yeah, at worst, 2-1-1. I agree. NBA, 8 games tonight. Miami and Charlotte. Orlando hosting OKC after the Magic had their 7-game winning streak snapped last night in Atlanta. There's an NBC, Peacock, NBCSN type doubleheader. Cleveland, Milwaukee early. Ugh. And Sixers, Nuggets late. And of course, Embiid's not going to play. He wouldn't play against Embiid on the road, Embiid wouldn't play against Jokic on the road when Embiid was healthy and winning the MVP. You think
Denver a
he's
mere
play
15.5-point favorite in that game.
Right, because I think Maxi's also out as well. And the Sixers have lost 4 in a row and have fallen into the play-in.
I mean, 2 best games tonight are Heat Hornets. That's a 4.5-point spread. The Hornets have been playing really well, but there's a bunch of teams battling to see who can get the last 2 seeds and not be in the play-in in the East. And then I'd argue the Suns and T-Wolves is a pretty decent game as well. The Suns still have an outside shot to get out of the play-in, but I mean, the playoffs are basically set in both the East and the West. I mean, barring a miracle, the teams are the 10 teams are done, especially the West.
Agreed, and it would take a total collapse by Charlotte. And even if they collapsed, I still don't know if Milwaukee could catch them.
Exactly.
Yeah, the 10 teams are set. What order they're in is not. I think the Seattle-Tampa Bay hockey game is going to be really good tonight because remember, the Kraken are tied for the final playoff spot out
with
west.
the Kings.
Yeah, so points are crucial to them. And obviously, Tampa's got to turn this sucker around if they're going to challenge Buffalo for the division title.
The only thing I care about tonight in the NHL is making sure Boston and Montreal gets ended in regulation. That's all I care about. That's the only damn thing that matters to me in hockey. I'd like to see Carolina beat Columbus, but I just need Boston and Montreal to end in regulation. That's it.
So you need them both not to get points.
Correct.
Right. Which seemingly happens with like every other NHL game.
You're
so
right.
Miller and Moulton. I will be all in on the World Baseball Classic, and then I will switch over to see whether Barkley and Vital are entertaining or obnoxious.
Probably, hopefully a little bit of both, to be honest with you. If they give me entertaining and a little obnoxious, I'm okay with that. The game being entertaining would help. It's a 1.5 spread. It's supposed to be. We'll see if NC State and Texas can deliver. Miss any of the show, millerandmoulton.com. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Seth Everett tomorrow.
Your roof is your home's first line of defense. At Pelican Roofing of Florida, Ronnie John and their team bring years of experience to protect what matters most, your family and your business. From residential repairs to large-scale commercial roofing, we deliver honest work, fair pricing, and quality you can trust. An upgrade on your roof can lower your insurance costs. Don't wait for a leak to turn into a disaster. Call the experts at Pelican Roofing today. 1-866-9-PELICAN. That's 1-866-9-PELICAN. Online at pelicanroofingcompany.com. CCC 1332512.
Some rings are beautiful. The Koi rings are unforgettable. April 17th through the 19th, Koi brings their entire collection to the Diamond District. Extraordinary engagement, breathtaking wedding bands, and Koi's newest fine jewelry for spring. Here for one unforgettable weekend, the Legend of Koi, April 17th through the 19th at the Diamond District. Hablamos Español.
Visit Jason and Todd at the Diamond District.
American Paint Supplies, for nearly 30 years, is your one-stop shop for all your coating needs. If you are a designer, a contractor, a professional painter, or a weekend warrior, American Paint Supplies is the place where experts go to get expert solutions. At 6100 Shirley Street in Naples off of Pine Ridge, American Paint Supplies delivers the best solutions with the best products with the best support. Meet Gene and his team today at American Paint Supplies. Call 239-566-2700. That's 566-2700 or online at AmericanPaintSupplies.net.
Let's talk the big differences between Floormeisters and the big box store that sells flooring. Floormeisters is family owned. They do flooring, not doors, nuts and bolts, or weed killer. They specialize in it. They know it. Floormeisters backs their installer. So if there's ever an issue, good chance the boss, TJ, will come out and make it right. Floormeisters prices beat the box stores every day of the week. When you think flooring, think Floormeisters in Naples. Floormeisters.com. Real people, real prices, real quality selection. The Floormeisters, just keeping it real.
Mark Miller for Sleep Treatment Direct. They are helping me with sleep apnea. And by helping me, I mean curing me. No more CPAP machine. No more snoring. No more tossing. No more waking up exhausted. Their expert team got me the right treatment, fast and hassle-free. If you want to feel energized and get rid of your snoring, call Sleep Treatment Direct today. 444-1741. That's 239-444-1741. Sleep Treatment Direct. Sleep safe and sound.
EPA Commissioner Adam Silver will visit Lee County in April as he is recognized by the Edison Awards as their Achievement Award honoree. His recognition not only highlights his leadership within professional sports, but also his broader influence on business, technology, and social responsibility. The Edison Awards recognize thought leadership from around the globe, making Silver's visit a significant moment for Lee County. Visit EdisonAwards.com for event details and tickets. Lee County, building a better community through business, sports, and tourism.
This is Miller and Moulton.
Thanks, Rick. Talk to you tomorrow.
You bet, Mark. Have a great day. Thanks.
All right, you too.